that one forward. Finds Carter Lowe through the neutral zone. Lowe waits, takes the shot, kicks side, rebound, scores! Cole Bodwin! Welcome to the Sadlin Arena as we get ready for our second test broadcast here on the channel from the booth with Mike. It's Mike Poirier joined by Josh McCann. And yes, we are planning to go on the road this season, so we need to test out the equipment. And we get to enjoy some hockey here tonight. And this game should be an entertaining game. Two Central Division rivals going at it in the preseason. The Barrie Colts against the Brampton Steelheads. And this is a Brampton team that's looking a little different than what we saw last year.
Yeah, so usually when you contend like the Brampton Steelheads did last year was their go all in year. You usually have a year after that where you still have some players you can sell off on and recoup the picks you used to go all in. Well, the Steelheads, they go all in last year, they lose in the first round, and then all their players basically leave for NCAA. Of their top 7 scores last year and their 2 goaltenders going into the playoffs, they have all either graduated or gone to the NCAA route, except for one, Jack Van Volsen, and he got traded for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So if you get rid of basically your top 9 guys, you're usually getting a good amount of picks and players in return. But Brampton, all they have is a 3rd and 5th to come from a bunch of star players.
Yeah, it's a whole new look in the Ontario Hockey League with the NCAA rule that came into effect last season. But it's training camp, so you're going to be getting some new faces anyway with the way junior hockey with the cycle works. And tonight, no different. If you're looking at the Barrie Colts lineup, Kayshawn Aitchison not in the lineup. We learned that he received a 3 preseason game suspension for the match penalty for the head check in the game Monday against the Owen Sound Attack.
Yeah, and nothing to worry about here for Barrie Colts fans or the Barrie Colts because Kayshawn Aitchison, after that game, he wasn't going to play again in the preseason anyway. He was heading off to New York Islander camp, similar to how Cole Beaudoin is going to head off to Utah Mammoth camp. So really, in the end, yes, Kayshawn Aitchison does get a 3-game suspension, but the Barrie Colts don't lose Kayshawn Aitchison for any game they planned on using Aitchison for.
Now we also get to see a new face in the lineup, Alex Asadorian, who they acquired from the Niagara Ice Dogs in the Grayson Tiller trade. We saw Calvin Crombie in Monday night's game, one of the other overagers they acquired from Brantford. But for Asadorian, a player we're familiar with. We saw him in the playoffs when the Niagara Ice Dogs were here in the first round. And if this team, the Barrie Colts, are going to get any sort of offense, it may have to start with a player kind of like Asadorian.
Yeah, so Calvin Crombie is here to play more of a depth role, more of a physical role. Alex Asadorian is going to be one of the Colts players that they need going offensively if they want to have a good year offensively. We've talked about how it's more of a defensive and goaltending team right now. But Alex Asadorian, a really strong player. Really, his biggest question mark is health. In the last couple of years, he's been putting up good numbers, but in not many games because he keeps missing time. So if Alex Asadorian can put in a full 68-plus playoffs for the Barrie Colts, they should get a lot of scoring out of their overage forward.
Yeah, so we're also going to get some other looks in the lineup here tonight with key players being out of the lineup, getting ready for NHL camp. One player that stood out to me late last season was Jonah McCormick. He's got that size. He appeared in one of the playoff games last year, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do this year, and he'll be getting in the lineup here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Jonah McCormick was one of the guys making his OHL debut in the final game of the regular season due to the Colts already having their spot clinched up. They rested up some guys, played a guy like Jonah McCormick. McCormick's first shift of the game, he goes out right in the defensive zone and he runs over a guy like Ryan Robrick. And that's very impressive to see out of a guy. Not afraid in his first OHL game. He also got an assist as well. And then come playoff time, when the Colts were looking for a spark, they went to Jonah McCormick and Sam Black, who are both going to play tonight on the same line for the Barrie Colts. Look for McCormick and Black, 2 more younger guys that are trying to fight their way into this lineup to have an impact here tonight.
So the two teams are now on the ice, and if you're a fan of the Brampton Steelheads, I have some good news. They're now wearing their new Under Armour jerseys. They have arrived, and we noticed in the warm-up, they've adjusted the shoulder patches. I'm a jersey nerd. I'm going to admit it right up. So when I see the jerseys, I look for the details, but it's starting to look more like a Brampton team. They've got the Brampton rose there on the shoulder. So Brampton fans, I think you're going to be excited now that these jerseys have arrived, as much as that's a minor detail when it comes to the hockey game.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see over the weekend. of course, the new Under Armour jerseys in the OHL, and I guess Brampton and Brantford's jerseys just hadn't arrived yet, so they had to wear their training camp jerseys in their game. It didn't hurt the Steelheads in their preseason opener, winning 7-3 over the Guelph Storm, but definitely interesting to see them out there in their training camp jerseys against these new, nice-looking Guelph Storm uniforms.
And for the Brampton Steelheads, one player who's really stood out here in the preseason so far, Gabriel Sherratt, 2 goals, 2 assists, good for 4 points in those 2 games. So we've talked about how this Brampton Steelheads team, they've got a lot of new faces, a lot of players who've moved on, but it's going to be guys like Sherratt, Wachowski, Eggleton up front. They're going to be the ones that are going to have to be those veteran players to really show this younger Steelheads team what needs to be done here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you talk about Sherratt. Wachowski, too, has 4 points through 2 games so far in the preseason. He's had a really strong start. They're also going to look in net to Zach Bowen, an overage goaltender, to try and help out some more younger goaltenders as they get ready for this potentially rebuild season in Brampton.
So we're going to go to the national anthems here, and when we return, it'll be puck drop between the Colts and the Steelheads. So we're just about ready to go here for the start of this preseason game between the Colts and the Steelheads. And while we have a moment, let's take a look at our starting goaltenders.
Well, for the Brampton Steelheads, it'll be Zach Bowen, the 6'2", 190-pound, 2005 born player from Canada, Ontario. Bowen spent 37 games last year with the Peterborough Petes, going 8-22 with an 893 save percentage. Has spent some time in both the Petes and Knights organizations before coming over in a big trade this offseason to the Steelheads. For the Barrie Colts, it's Ben Horebic in net. The 6'3", 199-pound Milton, Ontario native is back for his second season with the Colts. Last year, Horebic came in questionable to even be the backup. He was at first, but many wondered if the Colts could look for an upgrade. Well, they didn't need one. Horebic impressed so much. He's going to be the starter for the Barrie Colts this season after going 21-9-2 with a 920 save percentage.
Our referees tonight, Ryan Elbers and Nick Isaacson, and on the lines, Nick Arcan and Gage Argue. And this game is underway. The Steelheads right away sending it into the Barrie Colts zone as Hanser gets to the line, but not out. Here is Green. He'll take the shot. That goes over the net. The Green brothers, they're both playing on the same pairing for Brampton. So we'll have to get those names right here for sure as the Colts regain possession inside their own blue line. Hanser up to Desiderio. That misses, but he touched it at the line, so no icing as Bowen will cover it up here for the Brampton Steelheads.
Bowen's an interesting guy for the Steelheads to go out and get as their starting goaltender, and it may work out because the experience he had with Peterborough last year and the way the Petes struggled last season, Bowen, a guy in net they could turn to try and turn things around and help out the team. So he's used to playing in a situation like the Brampton Steelheads currently have right now, and that could definitely be a valuable experience in that.
Yeah, and with the changes throughout this lineup, losing Jack Ivankovic, who of course went NCAA, and then Braden Gillespie moving on, they decided we'll use one of their overage spots on a goaltender, and that's why Bowen is here as the Colts win the faceoff. There's a shot stopped by Bowen. Firing that one was Brad Gardner, who finds himself in the lineup tonight, trying to be one of the overagers on the team this season as Vader sends it towards the goal, but that misses far side. Now, that's going to be sent back to the corner. Steelheads trying to regain possession to get this one out. Now they will, as carrying this one forward is Marshall. He's just going to dump it in, goes off for a change. Rebick will play it up to Gooden. Gooden can't get it out of the zone, kept in by Witkowski. His shot stop, rebound. Horebic, a couple of big stops First test here for the Barrie Colts goaltender as Barrie will send this one back into the Brampton zone. Dragosika will play it up to Sherratt. Sherratt finds Witkowski. He'll carry it in on the right wing, trying to carry it to the net. He's bumped off stride by McCormick, and Witkowski is down. He fell awkwardly into the end boards. Looked like he may have gone feet first. They're calling for the trainer. As Witkowski right now just taking a knee. And McCormick, we talked about him right off the top and the size that he brings. Throwing the weight there, but Witkowski, he's going to skate off and seems to be okay.
Yeah, that's big for the Brampton Steelheads there. Witkowski, one of those returning guys we talked about. This entire second line, in fact, Witkowski, DeMiglio, and Sherratt is going to be very important for the Steelheads this season. We've already seen it in the preseason. They've been the best line so far through 2 games. So definitely a guy the Steelheads don't want to see going down here early.
So we'll get this face-off underway to the right of Ben Harabik as Sam Black takes the draw for the Colts. Won by Brampton. Dragosika at the point. Doesn't take the shot, decides to pass it across. Back to Dragosika. They'll take the shot through a crowd, and Harabik, despite having several players standing in front of him, he's able to get a glove on it.
Well, the Barrie Colts on the penalty kill for the first time tonight here after that McCormick hit. And overall, it was a pretty impressive night for the Colts the other night against the Owen Sound attack. Now, Owen Sound has struggled in general with their power play last year and in this preseason, but good to see the penalty kill off to a good start the other night.
Yeah, the Barrie Colts ended up losing that game Monday night by a score of 5-1. It was Nicholas Desiderio, the lone goal scorer for Barrie that night, as Dragosika has it at the point for the for the Steelheads. Stankoven, he's going to put that back behind the Barrie net as the Steelheads move it around. There's the shot. That goes wide. Back at the point. That's Dragosika. Stankoven got a piece of it. Puck goes to the corner. Eggleton had it for a moment in front. Stankoven shot. It's behind Harabik, but that's knocked away by Hanser. Justin Hanser bailing out his goaltender as Stankoven nearly opened the scoring here. Battle on the far boards as it's been pretty much all Brampton to start this hockey game. The Steelheads, they are on the power play with McCormick in the penalty box. As they move this one around, it's Harding at the point. Harding sets up Dragosika, fans on the one-timer. Stankoven, Dragosika takes the shot. Harabik the save as he bobbled that one a little bit, but he's able to cover it up.
Some nice looks there for the Steelheads. Eggleton just there with a bit of a deflection out front, but Harabik able to hang on to it. But that play before, really nice pass from Justin Botno, who the Steelheads just got from Guelph across to Matej Stankoven. And on his shot, Harabik just got enough of the shot and to slow it down, and Justin Hanser coming in behind, taking it off the line.
Yeah, it's a great start to the power play for the Brampton Steelheads, as it's operating at 33% so far in this preseason. It's 5th best right now in the OHL. Mind you, that's limited numbers. As the puck's on the far side, and the Colts able to get that one down the length of the ice. That was Jack Martin clearing it for Barrie. Peter Green back to play it here for the Steelheads. Comes out from behind the net. Green up to Witkowski on the wing. He's just going to dump this one in. Harabik behind the net to play it. He's got blue sweaters around him. Peter Green keeps it in. Witkowski across to Green. When the slot goes wide of the net. What a shot from DeMiglio. Colts able to send this one out as McCormick comes out of the penalty box. So Brampton now 0 for 1 on the power play. Steelhead send this one ahead. Emerton got a stick on it. Puck's bouncing in the neutral zone. Vader, he'll take it back into his own zone. Emerton trying to go up the middle. That pass is deflected. Getting a stick on it there was Lucas Marshall of Brampton. Back to play it. That's Kieran Riley. Steelheads with possession. Miglio, he's just going to send this down the ice. And icing waved off. Slandra had to come back to play it for the Colts, but Brampton on the forecheck, giving the Colts some issues. Puck comes to the line and out. Goyette couldn't keep that one in for the Steelheads. Riley back to play it for Brampton. Off the end boards to Goyette. Goyette will just clear this one out to center ice. Picked up by the Colts at their own blue line. Armstrong ahead. Desiderio will send this into the Brampton zone. Riley's back to pick it up again for the Steelheads. Riley lost the handle of it. Taken away by Asadorian. He's knocked down. Steelheads with it. They're going to pass this one out. That gets out to center ice. Gooden took that one away from Larman. Gooden, he's just going to send that one towards the net. Bowen will just guide that to the corner. Approaching the 5-minute mark of the first period, still no score between Barrie and Brampton. Colts right now in the offensive zone. That's knocked away. As nearly getting a rush on that was Keaton Arda, the first-round pick of the Steelheads. Hanser. That's sent out to center ice, taken away by Eggleton. Eggleton's just going to dump this one in for Brampton. Hrebeck leaves it there for the defense. There's a turnover. Steelheads with it in front, deflected as Eggleton got a stick on it. But Ben Hrebeck, who's been the busier of the two netminders tonight, he keeps that one out.
Another nice opportunity there for Eggleton. And you saw on the other side, Keaton Arda with a nice play to kind of get Brampton going back the other way. And the one thing that kind of went Brampton's way this summer is they had 2 first-round picks because they traded Adam Valentini last year to the Kitchener Rangers after he didn't report. So Brampton tonight having 2 2025 first-round picks in the lineup in Peter Green and Keaton Arda.
Face-off one by the Steelheads to the nets, and Eggleton again puts that one wide. And a couple of great chances here in this first period. Brampton's going to send that one deep. Hrebeck out of his net to play it. Wasselin. Nice little move there to get some space ahead for Jonah McCormick. Schneid sends that into the Brampton zone, ends up behind the Steelheads net as Wasselin sending that one around. At the point, Barton takes the shot. That goes off a leg. Steelheads will pounce on that loose puck. Justin Bontenot gets it out to center. Took a hard hit there from McCormick. All alone the other way. That's Stankoven. Stankoven couldn't hold on to it. Colts recover. Skating it back the other way is Schneid on the wing. Schneid takes a bump from Green, ends up back behind the Brampton net. McCormick on the forecheck, creates the turnover, but he took a high hit. He's trying to make his way to the Barrie Colts bench. Puck's kept in at the point momentarily. Now the Steelheads get it out. Colts back with possession. Aaron Mitchell. We'll send that one back to Emerton. Mitchell receives the pass at center ice. He's just going to dump this into the Steelhead zone as Peter Green comes back for Brampton. Sherrod tied up by Vader. At the point, Martin takes the shot. Deflected. That went off Peter Green and into the corner. Steelheads recover. Out to center ice. Colts have to come back to get it. Putting on pressure here is Gabriel Sherrod. He nearly took it away from the defenseman. That's center ice. Carrying this one forward is Jack Martin. Martin goes to the net, drops it back for Mitchell. Simonsov trying to go back to Martin, but that doesn't work, and the Steelheads will clear it. Justin Hanser off the bench. He'll send this one forward. That pass doesn't connect. Steelheads get it again at center ice. They'll dump this into the Barrie zone. Hanser back behind his own net. Passes up to Desiderio. That gets to the blue line and out. Kicked forward by Hanser. Chasing after it is Salandra. Salandra goes around the Brampton net. Has it in the corner. Backhand pass. Deflected. Kept in there by Hanser. Hanser trying to get it up to Desiderio. Desiderio back to the blue line. Salandra rides the line. Hits the brakes. Trying to get the shot to go. Goes to Hanser. His shot deflected. Stopped by Bowen. Marshall trying to pick it up for Brampton. Colts with it again. Armstrong with possession. His pass deflected, but we're going to get a penalty here. It's for a slash as Alexander Asadorian lifted the stick of the Brampton player, and they're going to call that one. So the Colts are being shorthanded yet again.
Yeah, not hard to call that one there as the stick was way up in the air, almost hit the banners, it felt like, on that one. And Asadorian playing first-line center tonight is part of a interesting discussion for the Barrie Colts that they still have to have. I mean, Cole Baudouin is the obvious choice as your number one center, but after that, who is your second and third line centers? Riley Patterson could have been a guy that you put at second line center, but he's moved on. He got traded to the Ice Dogs just last week. So now the conversation is between Alex Asadorian and Brad Gardner. You could also look at Asadorian on the wing as well, but tonight, at least, the Colts going with Asadorian and Gardner as their two centers. That could be something we see while Cole Baudouin's away at camp. And if the Colts have some third center options they like, maybe they go to Asadorian on the wing to keep Baudouin, Asadorian, and Gardner in the top six altogether, or maybe they go 3 deep there at center.
Yeah, it's going to be some interesting decisions for Dylan Smoskowitz and the coaching staff as they're going to have to juggle with players now going off to NHL camps momentarily. You'll have the rookie camps coming up, so you won't have Cole Baudouin up front. Obviously, Aitchison, Evan Passmore, they're going to be off at their camps too. So A lot of decisions to be made here, and it's a good time for these players to develop that new chemistry, especially guys like, as you mentioned, Asadorian and Crombie, who were acquired just before training camp. So the Steelheads are on the power play, their second one tonight, trying to keep this one in play. Colts get it out. Far side, that's Sam Black. He's going to send it back to Hanser, taking time off this Steelheads power play, which is down to a minute and a half. Puck goes on net. Bowen's just going to send it to his defense. Carrying this one forward, that's David Green. Far side, Steelheads will send it in. That was Eggleton. Wasselin sending it around for the Colts. Peter Green comes off the point, trying to send that hit on Edgar, but Edgar able to get this one down the ice as the penalty kill has been pretty strong so far this preseason. They only gave up one power play goal to the attack on Monday. There's a shot off the post by Edgar. Edgar with a great opportunity, shorthanded. And it caught the Steelheads flat-footed in their own zone. Schrott got a piece of it, so no icing. Puck goes deep into the Barrie zone. Loose puck picked up by Witkowski. Witkowski going around the Colts net, sends it back to the blue line. Goyette. Goyette takes the shot, stopped by Horebic. Witkowski can't find it, as knocking that one away was Noah Barton. There's another shot, goes off the end boards. Colts trying to pick it up. They'll get it to the line, kept in by Goyette of the Brampton Steelhead. They'll pass this one across. There's the shots, and Horebic able to get a glove on it there as Jared Harding fired that one from the point.
28 seconds left on the Steelheads power play. They've had a couple opportunities, but the best chance came in their own end, Iman Edgar. And it started with Brad Gardner forcing a turnover down in the corner. He gets it out to Edgar, and I don't know if the Steelheads just weren't expecting the shot, but snuck it past Bowen, but off the crossbar, and we remain scoreless.
Yeah, he's been very impressive so far. Iman Edgar. In the blue-white game, he was one of the faster players out on the ice. And then in the game against Owen Sound, it looked like maybe a little timid out there. But here tonight, seems to be pretty comfortable playing shorthanded for the Colts. As the Steelheads win the face-off, Goyette shots deflected. That's going to go to the corner. And the Colts able to get this one out as the power play now down to just 14 seconds. Brampton looking to regroup. Picking it up here is Jared Harding. Harding reaches center ice. He'll carry this one in. Lost an edge. Steelhead still with it. Eggleton will send it back behind the Colts net. The power play has come to an end. Back behind the Colts net. That's Justin Bottineau. He's knocked down. Steelhead's after it. It's Stankoven. Back to the blue line. Goyette. Near side. Eggleton. His pass deflected. Loose puck picked up by the Colts. And now we got a delayed call against Brampton. Asadorian. He'll hold up. Drops it back to Vader. Gooden will send this one in off the end boards. Bowen will cover it up. And now we'll get the call as we get some pushing and shoving behind the Brampton Steelheads net. But the Barrie Colts set's going their first power play of the night as it's a tripping call.
Looks like Justin Bottineau is the one heading over, and Teague Vader was able to knock down a puck in his own end and try and take it out back the other way. Bottineau just gets the stick in there, and then the two of them exchange some words in the Brampton end, but nonetheless, the Colts get the power play as they didn't take any roughing penalties there in that scrum after the whistle.
So the Barrie Colts in the game Monday against Owen Sound, their lone goal came on the power play. This unit operating at 20%. They win the faceoff. Gardner's shot stopped by Bowen as he flashes the glove. And we'll get a faceoff here as Brad Gardner wasn't in the lineup on Monday, so we're getting our first look at him here this season.
Also, our first look at how the power play could look without guys like Tayshaun Aitchison and Cole Baudouin. The other night, after Aitchison was kicked out, it was Cole Emerton on the top unit. Tonight, Ethan Armstrong gets that task.
Colts win the faceoff. Gardner quickly sending that one across. There's the shot, hit a player in front, backhand Desiderio. He's trying to tuck it around the pad of Bowen, but it ends up in the corner. Brad Gardner from the half boards. Nearly lost it with Kowski. He'll pass this one across. Asadorian from the corner, down low. Desiderio. Back to Armstrong. Ethan Armstrong at the point, trying to keep this one in the zone, but that's taken away by Brampton. Patton sending this one into the zone, taking time off the power play, which is now down to a minute 18. Still no score here between the Colts and the Steelheads. 9-11 left to go here in the first period. Colts moving ahead. Salandra back to Desiderio. Asadorian, his shot on goal, stopped by Bowen. As Alex Asadorian, the trailer on that play, was able to go right down the middle to get that chance.
Yeah, Colts got set up with a nice opportunity there. As in the middle of the ice, it was Asadorian and Troy Patton, the Steelheads second-round pick last year, kind of collided with each other. Patton went down, maybe looking for a call. Didn't get it. Colts came in 5-on-3, but Zach Bowen up to the task again.
Shots right now favoring the Steelheads 8-6. Power play now down to 1:05. As Jordan McCormick set to take the draw against Sherratt. Face-off won by the Colts forward. Emerton at the blue line. His pass is blocked, but he's able to somehow keep it in momentarily, but now it's sent back. Gabe Sherratt. Short-handed. He'll take it into the corner deep in the Colts zone. Schneid trying to dig this one free. Simonsov receives the pass. He's going to drop back for the defense, but able to read that play was Demiglio. Demiglio in the corner, taking more time off this Colts power play. Down to now 35 seconds. McCormick with possession. He'll skate this one ahead for the Colts. Reaches center ice. He's tied up, trying to pass it, but he turned it over to Demiglio. Edgar to Simonsov. Simonsov on the half-boards. Drops it back. Vader off the bench. Finds Edgar. Backhand, but that's blocked. As getting a stick in the lane there was Peter Green.
Well, you mentioned Gabe Sherratt there having an opportunity for the Steelheads, and he's a sixth-round pick to the Vancouver Canucks. And after this season, the Canucks are going to have a pretty good idea of what Gabe Sherratt is as a player. He's going to be doing a lot for the Steelheads team. He's going to be on the first line, and then he'll get the power play look as well. And then we just saw him, Edgar, on the penalty kill as well. So it looks like he'll be pretty much on most of the night for Steelheads.
Well, Sherratt listed as the second line for the Brampton Steelheads, but as you mentioned, getting the chances. Puck's at the net. Bowen can't find it. Puck's kicked to the corner. Steelheads are able to get this one out, as that'll just about do it for the penalty to Justin Bontenot. Vader back behind his own net, so it's back to even strength. The Colts 0 for 1 on the man advantage so far tonight. Harding collects it for Brampton. He'll flip this one ahead to Larman. Larman reaches center, took a hit from Vader. Mitchell's there trying to dig it free as they battle between the benches. Picked up by Amato. He's going to drop this one back. Dragosika sends that one across. Harding back to Dragosika. He'll reach center ice, flips this one into the Colt zone. Vader will be the first one on it for Barrie, back behind his own net. Sends it ahead quickly. Carrying that one ahead, Jack Martin takes the hit, but he's able to dump this into the zone. Bowen will play it for Brampton. And he's just going to send this down the length of the ice, and that's going to be icing against the Steelheads.
Well, Jack Martin, another one of those guys that you don't know much about, but like Ethan Armstrong and Zeke Bader and Noah Barton, they got their feet wet last year playing a couple games for this Barrie Colts team, so we'll have to see if Martin can find his way into the everyday lineup this year.
And Martin playing his first game of the preseason on that fourth line with Mitchell and Simonsov. Steelheads with possession. 7 minutes remaining here in the first period. Puck's at center. Edgar will send it back to Hanser. Justin Hanser will find Armstrong, who backtracks into his own zone. Armstrong up to Gooden. Gooden takes the hit right in front of the Brampton bench, as Guyette was the one who delivered that check. Puck wasn't moving, so the referees blow the whistle.
Well, Andre Gooden, when you look at him, you'd think he's more of a smaller skill guy, but from what we've seen in these last two preseason games, he's not afraid to take a hit, and he's also not afraid to lay a hit himself. And not what you usually see out of a guy that small, but Gooden showing his physicality here early.
Yeah, when you look at him, you could, you figure, okay, he's probably one of those wingers that's got the speed and the finesse, but the way he plays like he's a 6-foot forward, not afraid to mix it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to the game here, but it's been pretty impressive so far this preseason for the Barrie Colts. As Gooden right now out there receives the pass, he's going to send this into the Brampton zone. Bowen behind his own net. He'll play this one forward. And now we're going to get the whistle for a glove-to-head pass. So we'll do this again as this face-off should come back into the Brampton zone.
It's nice to see Gooden as well getting an opportunity against or with Brad Gardner. We've seen Joseph Salandra and Nicholas Desiderio get opportunities with Asadorian and Cole Baudouin in the last game. So another guy like Gooden and Eamon Edgar as well getting an opportunity with Brad Gardner here tonight.
Colts send the puck deep into the Brampton zone. There's Desiderio. Asadorian there to help him out. There's Desiderio. He's taken down. Battle continues in the corner, back behind the Brampton net. Steelheads with possession. That's flipped out to center ice. Trying to find that one is Fontenot. That got by him. Stankoven takes the hit. There's Wasslin right now, throwing the body for the Barrie Colts, bouncing off a couple of blue sweaters. Colts trying to get it out of the zone. It's turned over in front of the net. Has taken a hard hit there was Ty Daniels. Steelheads, though, keep this one deep in the Barrie zone. Colts trying to regain possession. Wasslin's going to send it back to Emerton behind his own net. Emerton, he trips. Puck's loose. Picked up by Witkowski. He's got some speed. Takes the shot. That's deflected over the net. Desiderio, he'll skate this one forward through the neutral zone. Dumps it in. He's going to go off for a change as Bowen plays it back behind his own net, waiting for his teammates to complete a change. 5:20 left to go here in the first period. Still no score. The Steelheads, though, they have the advantage on the shot clock, 8-7. They've had 2 power plays tonight, but unsuccessful in those chances. Well, the Colts, 1 power play for themselves, but also unsuccessful. Puck's at the point. Kept in by Black. McCormick dropping it back to Armstrong. Armstrong, nice move. He's stopped. Black picks up the loose puck. Back to Hanser at the point. Doesn't take the shot. Finds McCormick. His shot into the crowd. Hits his teammate. Jonah McCormick gets to the loose puck again. Trying to go into the slot. He was tied up by a pair of Steelheads. As Sherratt finds it, and he's able to clear it. Armstrong sends that one ahead. Getting a stick on it for the Colts was William Schneid as he's taken down. Fans want a penalty, but none coming. Puck sent down the ice. Vader will be the first one on it here for the Colts. Barton sends it back behind his own net. Vader up to McCormick. McCormick settles it down, passes it up. Vader through the neutral zone. Trying to catch up to it was Martin, but Goyette will take it away for Brampton. Goyette sends this one deep. Bouncing back behind the Colts net. Goyette will get it himself. Now he tries to start the cycle, but the puck hits the official. Sementsov. Back to Mitchell. That went off his skate. Loose puck. Steelheads with it. Far side, that's Lucas Marshall. Passes in front. There's the shot. That hits a player in front. Goyette keeps it in for Brampton. Larman trying to get to the loose puck. Takes the hit from Vader. Those two will battle in the far corner. 3:40 left here in the first period. Mitchell gets a stick on it for Barrie. Barton kicks it to the line, but not out. Kept in by Green. That's David Green. He's going to peel back. Takes the shot. Blocked in front. Getting in the way was Vader. David Green gets to that quick puck. He's able to keep it deep in the Colt zone as they're hemmed in there. Can't get the puck out of the zone. Mitchell collecting it now for the Colts. He's just going to take it along the boards. 3:08 left on the clock here in the first period. Steelheads moving it along the boards, trying to get it in front. That's blocked. Eggleton was there. Patton sends it back to David Green. Green sends that one wide of the net, ends up in the corner. Patton will be the first one on it for the Steelheads. There's a one-timer. It's a change-up. Horevic the save. Quick whistle from the referee as the puck was loose, but we'll get a line change here and face off in the cold zone, which is much needed considering how much pressure the Steelheads were putting on them.
Yeah, Brampton was all over Barrie. They had a couple opportunities to get it out here over the last couple shifts, but the Colts have had trouble exiting the offensive zone. And that opportunity there, another quality chance for the Steelheads. Botno was the one-timer, but it got deflected before it reached Horevic to slow it down. And puck did come loose. Maybe a rebound opportunity there for the Steelheads if it wasn't for that quick whistle, but whistle maybe saving the Barrie Colts there.
And it's definitely a different atmosphere for this game here tonight. The game against Owen Sound Monday night, that didn't feel like a preseason game. With all the physicality, the hits, the fights. Here tonight, it seems like both teams maybe playing a little more cautious. We're not seeing a lot of the physical play here tonight so far.
No, not really. I mean, I like the Barrie Colts amount of physicality, I would say. It's not on a regular season amount, but when they have their opportunity, I mean, we've seen Jonah McCormick tonight already lay 3 or 4 hits. William Schneid almost got hit in the head there it was a bit close to his head, and that's why I think fans got a bit up in arms about that one. But yeah, but like you said, not as much physicality. Definitely no fights like we saw the other night. 3 fights in a preseason game is pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a night and day difference between the two games to start this preseason as the faceoff will come to the left of Ben Harevic. Gardner there to take the draw. He'll send it back to Wasselin. Emerton sets up Wasselin. Joey Wasselin sends it into the Brampton zone. Bowen got a piece of it, sends to the corner. Gardner peels back. That's taken away by Arda. Can't get it out of the zone. Now they will. As that puck's just bouncing around the Brampton blue line. Steelheads send it deep. Wasselin collects it for the Colts. Up to Gooden. Dragosika trying to knock it away from him, but the forward will go back. This pass deflected, but that was before the red line. So now it's an icing call against the Colts with 2:17 left to go in the first.
Doesn't get much closer than that on an icing. I mean, even Edgar was just right on the wrong side of the red, so he'll have to stay out along with Joey Wasselin on the defensive side. And Wasselin, an interesting guy, already listed at 6'4", and as an American, you don't know if he's going to stick around this season or not, but down the road could be a very interesting piece on the Colts back end.
So we'll get a face-off here to the right of Ben Harevic. Face-off won by the Colts. Emerton will send that one along the boards. Gooden avoids the hit from Riley, sends it down ice. Not enough for icing. Forced to come back after it is Ty Daniels. First side, that pass deflected. Gardner was in the lane. Colts will recover in their own zone. Desiderio, that's center ice. Sends that towards the net. Bowen decides to cover it up. And we'll get another face-off here with 1:55 left to go.
Well, no Aitchison, no Passmore, no Eliason for the Barrie Colts tonight as they all prepare for NHL camp. And the top defensive pairing right now, Justin Hanser and Ethan Armstrong. Two guys looking to make that step forward. Hanser and Armstrong were kind of the 7th and 8th defensemen last year. Hanser got in a lot when Tristan Bertucci was out with mono, and we'll have to see what a full year in the OHL can do for guys like Armstrong and Hanser.
Well, Hanser had a great play early in the first period as Harevic made the stop on Stankoven, but the puck got behind him, and Hanser casually just got that off the line as the Steelheads come back the other way. Bouncing puck, patent shot, stopped by Harevic. There was a rebound, but Salandra was able to collect it here for the Colts. Quickly up the ice. That's Dario trying to go back to Salandra. That got by him. Steelheads get it to the line. Not out. Kept in by Armstrong. Puts towards the net. Bouncing off the end boards. Desiderio is there now for Barrie. He's tripped up. Macedorian is there. Gets the loose puck. Steelheads will take this one away. Goyette sending it across. Matto will flip this one into the Barrie zone. As we're approaching the final minute of the first period, Colts have it deep in their own zone. Armstrong goes across to Hanser. He's going to skate it back behind his own net. Eggleton right now on the forecheck, waiting for Hanser to make a move. Hanser trying that long pass, but that's picked off at center ice by David Green. Green trying to carry it in. He's stopped by Hanser. Those two collide in the far corner. Armstrong along the boards. He's tied up by Bottineau. Colts trying to dig it free. Stankoven digs it out. Eggleton shot. Didn't get all of that. It was Schneid who kind of tied up his stick before he could fire it. 36 seconds left to go here in the first period. Brampton trying to get one more chance as the Colts get it to the line. Not out. Kept in by Peter Green. Puck bouncing off the end boards. And Harevic will get his glove on top of that one.
Another whistle that the Barrie Colts seeming to need there. It seems like they've had a hard time getting it out of the zone. Hanser and Armstrong were on there for a long time, and Hanser had an opportunity to clear it, tried to maybe do too much with it and send it down the ice, and it got intercepted. Him and Armstrong had to stay out, and they were out there all the way to the end of the shift, but now they'll get a break.
28 seconds left here in the first period. Face off to the left of Ben Harevic. Scrambled draw. The Colts come up with it, send it to the line and out. That got by Peter Green. David Green on the far side will send it right back into the Colt zone. Delayed offside against the Steelheads. Puck sent to center ice. Semensov has it in his skates. Drops it back. Mitchell will just dump it in for Barrie. Puck's deep in the Brampton zone. Sherratt picks up some speed. Takes the hit from Vader as the defenseman lined up the veteran. Puck's deep in the Barrie zone. Quick shot in front. But Harevic makes the save right at the buzzer. as the Brampton Steelheads getting more of the chances so far tonight, as it's been a lot of Brampton in this first period so far, out shooting the Colts 12-9. But that goes to show the importance of a goaltender like Ben Horebic.
Yeah, Horebic's had a really strong start here tonight. And if you remember last season, the Barrie Colts had a lot of games where it felt like they didn't come out on their best foot. And those are many games that could have gone away from the Barrie Colts last year. But with goaltenders like Sam Hillebrand and Ben Horebic, they were able to weather those storms. And once the team got going later in the game, they still had a shot in those games. And yeah, Horebic looks really strong here in the first period because really 12-9 doesn't feel like 12-9. I feel like Brampton had a much better period there than the Colts.
Well, you have to give Barrie credit. They were able to keep those Steelheads to the perimeter for the most part. So a lot of those shots coming from the outside. Eggleton, a couple of times there, was able to get to the crease. We saw the Stankoven chance where Horebic made the save, but Justin Hanser able to bail out his goaltender.
Yeah, Hanser was a guy I really liked in that first period for the Colts. Mike talked about that chance on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, too, he even created an opportunity early in the first, stepped up from his position, and tried to put a shot on net. It got deflected. Zach Bowen made the save, but overall, pretty strong period for Justin Hanser. Colts, as you said, defensively also pretty strong. One thing I'd like to see, I'd like them to get better at maybe getting it out of the zone. It seemed like they had a hard time. Brampton did a good job keeping it in, and we'll see if that keeps up in the second period.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break so we can get a bit of a breather ourselves. But when we return, we'll talk a bit about some of the news happening around the Ontario Hockey League. And if we can get the chat working on our end, we'll also respond to any of your questions or anything that you may want to talk about during this first intermission. So after 20 minutes, no score to report here between the Barrie Colts and the Brampton Steelheads. Well, we're about 13 minutes away from the start of the second period as it's preseason action tonight between the Barrie Colts and the Brampton Steelheads. And just a reminder, this is an audio broadcast. Think of it like a radio broadcast, as we aren't able to show you visuals on the ice. But yeah, we are broadcasting live from the Saddle Arena. This is the last home game that we'll be able to do this testing of our equipment, as Rogers TV will be covering the next game on September 14th when the Oshawa Generals are in town. Josh and I will, I guess, be wearing our suits then that night.
We'll have to get fancy.
Yeah. But either way, we appreciate everyone who's been tuning in so far from all across the province. We appreciate you tuning in for this broadcast. But some big news earlier today as we found out who the two finalists are for the Memorial Cup on the Ontario Hockey League, set to host the Memorial Cup tournament next year. We had 4 bids. We have the Kingston Frontenacs, the Niagara Ice Dogs, Guelph Storm, and Kitchener Rangers all submit formal bids. And in the end, we found out today that Guelph and Kitchener are the two finalists.
Yeah, it seems like the CHL's worst kept secret right now is that the Kitchener Rangers are the heavy favorites to host this Memorial Cup coming up in 2027. But you kind of wondered if it'd be Guelph or Kingston maybe getting the opportunity to rival Kitchener here for the bid. And of course, you never know. Maybe they go to see what's planned in Kitchener and they don't like what they see, and maybe Guelph does get it. But as of right now, I think most people would expect the Kitchener Rangers to get it. Doesn't mean that Guelph doesn't have a shot, but the Kitchener Rangers have done a really good job at preparing for this. I mean, you look at last year, it looked like they were heading into a rebuild, but they've stayed contending throughout this time, and they're set up to have a team that's contended the last 2 seasons plus their Memorial Cup season. So it'll definitely be interesting to see.
Well, I launched this channel 2 years ago, and I remember talking with Mike Farwell, the Kitchener Rangers broadcast, and he told me then that, yeah, the Kitchener Rangers are looking to potentially bid on the Memorial Cup. So like you said, the worst kept secret, the Kitchener Rangers have been planning for this for the last 2 years. The Kitchener Memorial Auditorium is often voted one of the best junior hockey rinks in the Canadian Hockey League, next to, say, the Canada Life Place in London. But Guelph, you know, their plan is to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the city of Guelph. So they want to have a Memorial Cup as well to go alongside with it. They hosted the Memorial Cup in 2002. They did a phenomenal job. That was when the Sleeman Center first opened. So I think it's going to be, it might be closer than we think. A lot of us are expecting Kitchener will be named the Memorial Cup host, but I do believe the Guelph Storm could put up, a great presentation. And even the city of Guelph has come out and said they're going to put money towards this team and have arena upgrades if they're awarded the bid.
Another note, this is Jet Luchenko's potential last year in the OHL. So the Storm could move him for a ton of assets, a ton of picks, and that would give them a lot of stuff to use next season towards a Memorial Cup bid. Like you said, it was a very good event in 2002. I'm going to take your word for it. I wasn't alive back then, but
oh, I know you're showing my age.
yeah. I think either team would be a pretty good host for the event, but you mentioned it earlier that in the press conference earlier today about how they're looking for history and how the Kelowna Rockets have gone to an old logo and reverting back to old history. And there isn't much places in the OHL where you can get a better spot history-wise than the auditorium in Kitchener. And it's a really nice arena in general. So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. And like Mike said, it may be a bit closer than people expect. And like I said, you never know what happens once they have their interviews with the league to decide who it is.
Yeah, so we will find out by the end of November, early December, who will host the 2027 CHL Memorial Cup. My only thing with, I've talked to a few people about this, and one argument that keeps coming up is why do we always put the Memorial Cup in the Western Conference? Because if you look at it, Saginaw was the last team. You've had London, they've hosted a few times. Now you're looking at Kitchener and Guelph. The last time that a team in the Eastern Conference has hosted the Memorial Cup was the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors in 2011. Outside of that, typically it's in the West. So I feel as though the Kingston Frontenacs, we were there in the playoffs last year, Slush Puppy Place, a fantastic facility. And I feel as though, maybe we should be looking to other markets, particularly the ones like Kingston, maybe Niagara in the future, just because the whole Niagara region, prime for tourism. You've got the hotels. St. Catharines, It's the arena's right downtown, so I'd like to see it go out to other places, but I do understand, I think, where the league's going with the history front.
Yeah, definitely. But like you said, I think there's some really good options in the Eastern Conference, like the Kingston Frontenacs. I mean, that was a really fun environment we were in down there in Kingston. And the Niagara Ice Dogs, they've had some off ice issues recently. So I think if they regroup and maybe uh, behave themselves these next few years, they could definitely have an opportunity in 2030. I believe the Ottawa 67s have some renovations planned, so they could have an opportunity in 2030. The Oshawa Generals just had a new lease to stay in Oshawa long term. I believe there will be some renovations coming to the city of Oshawa as well for hockey. So there's a lot of opportunities in the Eastern Conference come 2030. The Barrie Colts just got a new lease in Barrie. Maybe they look to have an opportunity come that time. It's still 5 years away, but a lot of interesting teams potentially for the Eastern Conference come 2030.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see who it comes down to, but it is always exciting. If you ever get a chance to go to the Memorial Cup in person, Kitchener or Guelph, they're going to put on an amazing show. So we're about 6.5 minutes away from the start of the second period. Still no score to report between the Barrie Colts and the Brampton Steelheads. We do have the live chat up. That's the advantage of doing an audio radio broadcast here on YouTube. We can interact with you, the listener or viewer, whatever you want to call yourself. We can answer any questions that you may have in regards to the Barrie Colts or the Brampton Steelheads or even the Ontario Hockey League in general. So if you have a question, feel free to put that in the chat. But for the Barrie Colts, we touched on it last week about the captaincy, and I talked to a few people since then about how maybe Cole Baudouin is the perceived favorite as the captain, but a few people I've been talking to are wondering maybe should we look at a guy like Kayshawn Aitchison as a leader.
Just one note before I get to that. In the chat, JN did mention that that Memorial Cup could be another trip opportunity for him.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be a very good idea for you. Um, but yeah, captaincy. Like you said, I mean, Kayshawn Aitchison really showed his leadership alone in that play that he got suspended on the other night. I mean, he sees a young guy like Joseph Salandra getting taken down by a Owen Sound player and Declan Waddick, and Aitchison says, "You know what? I'm not going to stand for that. You're not going to touch my guy." And so Aitchison comes over and gives him a bit more than a piece of his mind,
just
but
a little bit,
just a little
just a
bit
little
more. But yeah, you saw Kayshawn Aitchison really last season being a big leader for this team, not only on the ice but off the ice. I mean, his nickname in the locker room, I believe, was the Mayor. So with a nickname like that, you could definitely see him being the captain. I mean, on the ice as well. He's a guy you want to example your game around almost. I mean, in every big moment where the Barrie Colts needed Kayshawn Aitchison last year, Kayshawn Aitchison was there. And I think that was really on point in the game they clinched the playoff spot last year. They were down 3-2 to the Peterborough Petes, and they were really struggling. They had a few opportunities to clinch a playoff spot over the last few games, but they hadn't done it. So maybe it was starting to rack on their mind. Only a couple minutes left. Aitchison comes in, ties the game, and then he goes back out there for his next shift and wins it. And I think he's got a ton of leadership qualities, like I mentioned, off the ice, but also on the ice with stuff like that.
Yeah, he's often the clutch player on the Barrie Colts roster, and we saw that, like I said, quite a bit last season. Today, we also learned that the Guelph Storm have named their captain for the season. Charlie Paquette will be the one to wear the letter C on his jersey. So we now know two captains, at least around the Ontario Hockey League. We've got Jake O'Brien with the Brantford Bulldogs, and now Paquette with the Guelph Storm. So time will tell when we'll find out who will be the captain of the Barrie Colts. But I think it's going to take some time, especially when you look at the likes of Cole Baudouin when he does go off to Utah. I'm suspecting the Mammoth are going to keep him around, so Colt fans may have to be a little patient on how long until Cole Baudouin returns to the Colts lineup. This is that stressful time of year for junior hockey fans because you want to see the best of your players who are going to go off to the National Hockey League, but at the same time, you want to see them come back. And we saw that last year, even with Jet Luchenko of the Guelph Storm. So it's that stressful time of year for junior hockey fans.
Yeah, no doubt. And Cole Baudouin may end up being like a guy in Jet Luchenko where he leaves, he plays his 9 games, and then he comes back. But I think there was some worry in the Colts organization last year at this time about whether Cole Baudouin could go to Utah. Because the one thing about Cole Baudouin is he's such a hard worker. They could just throw him in their third center group. And the one thing is Utah is supposed to be better this season. It's not like they're going to be near the bottom of the league again. So I think they're going to want Baudouin to go down and develop more and have a more veteran guy playing in their lineup than him. But maybe if they were still struggling this season like they were over the last couple years in Arizona, kind of coming into Utah, maybe you see Baudouin make that roster. I don't think he will this season. I think Barrie Colts fans are going to get both Cole Baudouin and Kayshawn Aitchison back, but still definitely something to worry about if you're a Colts fan.
Yeah, this time of year, you're always keeping an eye on what's going on at the NHL rookie camps. It is a fun time of year as we're almost ready for the second period of play here at the Saddlein Arena. The refs are out on the ice, so we'll be starting this momentarily. But it has been entertaining hockey here tonight so far, the preseason, seeing some younger players getting some extra ice time to showcase their talents. One player I don't think we've talked enough about is Nicholas Desiderio. He scored that power play goal Monday against the Owen Sound attack. And tonight, he continues to have that nose for the net. I feel like we're talking about a lot of other players for the Colts, but Desiderio kind of going under the radar a bit.
And I think this is the best thing about the Barrie Colts right now is that we have these guys we're talking about a ton. Edgar, Salandra, Sementsov, Gudin. But then there's other guys around that aren't being talked about as much that look like they could be key pieces for the Barrie Colts. We've talked a lot about Cole Emerton. Now we're going to talk about Nicholas Desiderio. He got that power play goal the other night, and he's been handed a pretty nice opportunity here in preseason, playing with Cole Baudouin the other night, playing with Alex Assadorian tonight, and it seems to show that the Barrie Colts do like Nicholas Desiderio a lot. He's a bit of a late signing. He just signed with the team last week, but yeah, like you said, Desiderio's had a really strong night again tonight. I think that line has had a really good night in general. I mean, they look like a really fast line as well that's going to create a ton of offensive opportunities and have defensemen on their heels all.
Well, it says a lot when Dylan Smoskowitz is putting Desiderio on that top line back-to-back games. We saw him play on the left side, top line against Owen Sound, and then again tonight, and then Salandra on that right wing. So it seems as though you just want to find that right centerman to fill that gap between those two young players.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Dylan Smoskowitz has all the right in the world to say, hey, we want to try two new guys on the top line, but with the way Salandra and Desiderio performed the other night, they've earned this opportunity to remain on the top line, and you see Iman Edgar and Andre Gudin up on the second line as well. So the young guys for the Barrie Colts definitely getting their opportunities here over these preseason games to try and prove themselves to be a big part of the team going into this season. Just one note from the chat. It's from Amanda. She says, I went to a Colts game back in February with a member of my family who doesn't follow the Colts too much, and they were surprised Aitchison wasn't the captain last season.
Okay, well, see, that's the thing. When he's a leader both on and off the ice, and just the way he plays, kind of gives off those captaincy kind of vibes.
Yeah, and last year was a big step forward for Kayshawn Aitchison. The Colts captain, Bo Jelsma, had been named captain the year before, so maybe if the Colts needed to name a captain mid-season, it could have been Aitchison, but at the time that Bo Jelsma was named captain, I don't think many expected him to be, or Aitchison, that is, to be a captain at that point.
So the second period now underway. The Colts getting the puck into the Brampton zone. Steelheads trying to get it out. Kicking at it there was Hanser. Puck goes back behind the Steelheads net. Puck rolls to the corner. There's David Green to play it. Gives it up to Harding. The Green brothers have been separated here to start this second period as David Green and Harding are the new pairing here. Green gets to it for Brampton, sending it around the boards. Harding trying to get that one out. Assadorian had it for a moment, but here come the Steelheads up the wing. Dropping it back to David Green. His pass deflected as Armstrong knocked that away. Ethan Armstrong having a great night so far. Stankoven down low for the Steelheads. Trying to move it around, the give and go. Stankoven trying to wrap around, hooks in front. Witkowski put that wide. Armstrong collecting it for the Colts. He'll reach center ice. Gets around Stankoven and dumps it in. Bowen out of his net to play it. We'll leave it there for Green. Up the boards. Taking the hit there was Bottineau. Colts stepping up their game here to start this second period. Puck towards the net. That one nearly went off the head of Brad Gardner in front. Ends up in the corner. Steelheads with possession. Miglio will pass that one to Harding. Steelheads trying to get this one out. Now they will. It's at center ice. D'Amiglio, he'll send this deep into the Barrie zone. Gardner's first one on it. He overskates it. Puck's bouncing. Eggleton's there. Trying to win the board battle. Puck comes to the near side. Regosica sends that one around. Far side. Gooden chasing after it for the Colts. Can't get there in time. Peter Green keeps that one deep. Eggleton tied up behind the net by Wasselin. Wasselin trying to kick that one free as they battle continues behind Ben Horevic. Puck's now loose. Gooden collects it for the Colts. He's rubbed into the boards there by Bottineau. Steelheads trying to keep it in. They will. That's Dragusika just keeping it in. Wasselin takes the hit from D'Amelio. He's bumped into the boards by Edgar. Loose puck. Emerton on his backhand. Puts it off the boards. Gardner collects it at center ice. Enters the attacking zone. He'll drop that one back. There's the shot. That goes off a leg, and Patton off the bench will play it for Brampton. He takes the hit from Vader, who collects the loose puck. Vader has to be careful there. He's tripped up. That's going to be a penalty against Brampton. So the Barrie Colts getting a power play early here in the second period.
Well, a pair of penalties for Brampton this game. Both have been trips on Teague Vader. It's going to go against Keaton Arda, their first round pick. And that one much more closer to neutral ice, just against the blue line there. And Vader tried to turn up ice, and Arda got the stick in there. And the Barrie Colts will have another power play opportunity.
Well, that's the great thing about Teague Vader. He always moves his feet. He's never stopping, and that results in another trip as the Barrie Colts get their second power play of the night. Face off to the left of Bowen. Colts will win the draw. Emerton at the point. Goes to Semensoff. Across. There's the shot from Edgar, and that's knocked aside by Bowen. Semensoff drops it back to Schneid. He can't hold on to it as Patton will clear the zone. Emerton back in his own end to collect it. Power play now down to a minute 43. Semensoff. He'll pick up some momentum through the neutral zone. Drops it back. Edgar couldn't control that pass. Ends up in the corner. Edgar gets it again for the Colts. Back to the blue line. Emerton waits. Goes back to Edgar. Edgar across. Deflected in front. Steelheads will pick it up. Riley trying to get out of the zone. He will. Puck bouncing at the Colts blue line. McCormick back after it for Barrie. 1:15 remaining now in this man advantage. Jonah McCormick through the neutral zone, enters the zone. He'll send this one around the boards. Schneid gets it in the corner. He's tied up by Goyette. That'll get away from him. At the line, Emerton. He keeps this one in. Semensoff trying to play it. Puck's bouncing. Now the Steelheads get it out. Puck comes back to the Colts blue line. Backtracking in his own zone is Eamon Edgar. Edgar's just going to leave it there for his defense. Both teams complete line changes. Sidorian drops it for Armstrong. He's got some space through the neutral zone. Armstrong carrying it in for the Colts. Gets by Green. Stays with it. Now he'll drop it to Salandra in the corner. Salandra trying to get it past David Green. He takes it away, and he's able to get that one out. Witkowski tried to play it. Lost his stick. Colts take it back in. Salandra will send it around the boards. Far side. That puck bounces on Desiderio. Through the neutral zone, it's Brampton. There's the shot by Harding right on net. And Horevic, not taking any chances, decides to cover it up.
Job by Brampton here. They'll have an opportunity for an offensive zone draw on the penalty kill. And the Colts still kind of getting their feet wet here with this power play. You see Brad Gardner and Alex Astorian out with the top unit as the two overagers for the Barrie Colts. But outside of that, it's a bunch of players that really haven't played in the OHL. The only guy with actual OHL experience is Ethan Armstrong on the back end and Jonah McCormick, who's only played less than 10 games in the OHL.
Yeah, and on that last shift, starting to notice Semensoff a little bit more out there, as he looks like he's starting to get a little more comfortable out on the ice. As Horevic forced to make a quick save after the faceoff, Desiderio loses it in front of his bench. Salandra will flip this into the Brampton zone. Dragosika coming back to play it, delayed offside against the Colts, and we're going to get the whistle. As the power play now just down to 2 seconds, and then Keaton Arda will come out of the box for Brampton.
As we remain scoreless, so obviously neither team really able to capitalize on any of their power play opportunities. And we talked about Brampton, they'll carryover from last year. The Colts playing a lot of their young guys here on the power play, so both teams still trying to figure out these special teams units. Some of these kids still getting used to playing on an OHL power play as well.
These players trying to develop that chemistry and get familiar with one another as well. Whereas the Brampton Steelheads successful in killing off that penalty. So the Barrie Colts now 0 for 2 on the man advantage. Riley will take it back behind his own net for Brampton. Riley puts that one off the glass, ends up on the Colts bench. And we'll get another whistle here as we're approaching the 5-minute mark of the second period and still looking for our first goal of the hockey game.
Yeah, and that's sometimes what happens when you see two quality goaltenders in Ben Arabic and Zach Bowen in net, a couple guys with a lot of experience. We saw the other night the Colts using both Arvin Jaswal and Hagen Bach. So we'll see if Bach gets an opportunity here tonight as well, and we'll see if Brampton makes a change in net either.
Yeah, usually they'll make the change midway through the second period. So keep an eye on the goaltenders as Mitchell just laid out a big hit on Sean Matthew Goyette. Steelheads come back the other way, and that's just going to roll on net. Horebeck, he decides to cover it up as Patton was standing right there on his doorstep.
Yeah, not a lot happening there on that opportunity for Brampton, but it looked like at first it could have been a big opportunity. Looked like a bit of a 2-on-1 there as Joey Wasson was stuck back in the other end, but up to the task there is Cole Emerton and Ben Horebeck.
So face off to the left of the Colts net. Brampton still out shooting the Barrie Colts 16-10. However, Colts getting a few more opportunities than what we saw in the first period as Goyette keeps it at the point. That's blocked. Amato to the net. That's flipped to the corner by Patton. Emerton tied up by the Steelheads forward at the point. Harding just keeps it in. Wasselin picking it up for the Colts. Emerton continues it along the boards. Mitchell gets to his own blue line. He'll send this one across. Wasselin towards the net. Bowen will just guide that one to the corner. Aaron Mitchell in a battle along the boards. Trying to play it. Goyette comes out from behind his own net for the Steelheads. That's blocked by Semensov. Hanser takes the hit, trying to force it along the boards. Hanser gets it again, flips it forward. Edgar couldn't get there in time. Steelheads will send it right back into the Barrie zone. And now it's going to be an icing call against Brampton. As Brampton now starting to have some difficulties getting through the neutral zone, something that we didn't really see in the first period.
Yeah, no, the Colts have definitely played much better in the neutral zone here, and Brampton there just looking to try and get it down the ice a little bit and just too much on it as they look for the change, and they'll have to keep the same five guys out there.
Face off to the left of Bowen. Brad Gardner taking the draw here against Stankoven. Face off won by the Steelheads. Goyette has it in his skates. Gardner digs it free. Stankoven will collect it now for Brampton. He'll skate through center, takes the hit from Armstrong. Armstrong sends it across the ice. Catching up to it is Hanser. Justin Hanser enters the attacking zone, trying to drop it back. He will. Gardner takes the bump from Sherrod. Stankoven sends it back. Puck goes to the corner. Gooden collects it for the Colts. Drops it for Gardner, trying to get to it. Stankoven will find it first. Matej Stankoven up to Sherrod. Sherrod sends it ahead. He's going to chase after him. He's got a player going to the net. Armstrong diving across as he took away the passing attempt as Kieran Witkowski had a lane to the net, but what an effort there from Ethan Armstrong.
Yeah, definitely maybe the two most dangerous Steelheads on the ice, and Sherrod and Witkowski, with the way they've played through the first two games of their preseason. And Witkowski was able to get past Justin Hanser, beat him to the net there, and Sherrod looks for the opportunity across, but Armstrong just diving out to get the stick out there. A very nice play by Armstrong. Once again, another guy that didn't play a lot last season, and that's one that I think Dylan Smoskowitz and Marty Williamson are writing down when they're thinking about who they want their starting six defensemen at the start of the year.
It was just a great desperation play there by Ethan Armstrong as we're now down to 13:28 left to go in the second period. Still looking for that first goal of the hockey game. Horebeck has been pretty steady here tonight. It's his first start of the preseason and looking pretty comfortable out there with the Barrie Colts.
Yeah, he's had a solid night, and I think Ben Horebeck's going to be pretty motivated this season. I think a lot of people expected to hear his name called on draft night, but in the end, Horebeck wasn't able to get drafted. He did go to Carolina Hurricanes camp, so there is some teams that are interested in Horebeck. So he'll definitely be motivated to make sure those teams that are interested right now are still interested next season.
And for Horebeck, with Sam Hillebrand going off to Ohio State, he knows that this could be his job, the starting role this season. And he's putting on a good show here in front of Dylan Smoskowitz and the coaching staff. Colts trying to get it out of the zone, kept in by Dragusika. Puck's down low. Steelheads trying to get to it. It's taken away by Barrie. That's William Schneid. Schneid losing it there. Miglio Had it for a moment. Black back behind his own net. Up to McCormick. McCormick takes the hit. Black's able to collect it. Sends it ahead to Schneid at center ice. Schneid sends that one deep into the Steelhead zone. Green playing it to Larman. He loses it. Colts regain possession on the far side. Schneid. That goes back behind the Brampton net. And there's a big hit behind the play as Sam Black took a run at Luke Dragusica. And that's now going to be a penalty against the Barrie Colts forward, and that's going to put Brampton back on the power play.
Yeah, both teams had a few power play opportunities last night, and there for Black, he's a guy that, similar to Jonah McCormick, that's trying to take some hits, change some flow in the game, but maybe a bit too late there on Dragusica with that one, and it'll lead to a Brampton power play.
Yeah, clear interference penalty there on Sam Black. So the Brampton Steelheads getting their third power play of the night with 12:52 here in the second period to go. Face off to the right of Horevic. Stankoven taking the drop against Asadorian. Last second instructions. Asadorian's going to be tossed out. So in steps Joe Salandra. Face off one by the Steelheads. Harding from the half boards. He's going to put that one to the corner. Sherratt sends that one back to Harding. At the blue line. Goyette down low. Off the end board. Sherratt in front. And that pass not able to connect. Good work by Salandra to take it away, but the Steelheads still have the puck. On the far side, Stankoven. He's going to go back behind the Colts net, facing pressure. Harding at the blue line. Harding takes the shots, and Horevic flashes the leather as he's able to hold on to that one.
Well, we talked about kind of these power plays still trying to get used to each other as a unit, and it'll be interesting to see as this game goes on, now getting into their third and fourth power plays of the night. That connection is starting to get there. Brampton had some nice puck movement there, created an opportunity there for Jared Harding, but couldn't beat Ben Horevic.
Minute and a half remaining in the penalty to Sam Black. Face off to the right of Horevic. Colts get to it. They'll send it to the line and out. No, they're going to say that was kept in. Harding up to Sherratt. His shot blocked. Getting in the way was Wasselin. Far side, Goyette trying to play it. Loose puck picked up by Edgar. Edgar will skate this one up shorthanded. Gets past Witkowski, but loses a stick in the process. Steelheads regain possession. They're going to take it back around their net. That's Harding. Up to center, Jared Harding. Up to Witkowski. Witkowski trying to get around Armstrong. Armstrong after it. Puck goes to the corner. Witkowski and Armstrong continue to battle. Gardner's there as well as they fall on top of the puck. 46 seconds left in the penalty. Harding at the blue line. Passes it across. There's the shot right on goal as Horevic able to see that one all the way. Firing it was Sean Matthew Goyette.
Good look there for Goyette, but a bit before that, it looked like Brampton was going to have a nice opportunity as they were just able to keep it in at the blue line. Puck deflected down low to Gabriel Sherratt, but it was Joey Wasselin, the big defender for the Colts, getting in front of that one to keep us at 0-0. Iman Edgar almost had an opportunity the other way as well. If he hadn't lost his stick there, he would have gotten past the defense, but the defender was able to knock his stick down, so we remain scoreless.
And we've now seen that a couple of times from Edgar shorthanded, getting some opportunities there. As the battle now moves behind the Barrie Colts net, 26 seconds left in the man advantage. Steelheads with possession. Here's David Green. Dragusica can't hold on to that pass. He'll send it to the corner. Dragusica gets it again. Cross to Green. David Green with possession of it. He'll trade places with his defense partner. Green with the blast. That's blocked by Mitchell. Great work by Mitchell getting in that shooting lane. Dragusica passing that one over. The power play has come to an end. Brampton now 0 for 3 on the man advantage. And now the Barrie Colts are going to ice the puck as we approach the midway point of this hockey game.
Nice block there by Mitchell, and kind of another one of those unknown guys coming into Colts camp. We saw him in the blue and white game. He's trying to bring a physical presence. He's a bit of a big guy, and that's kind of what he's known for, and did a little bit too much the other night at the blue and white game. Took a couple undisciplined penalties, but he's reined that in here tonight and looked like a solid depth piece for the Colts.
Yeah, Mitchell, he's been contributing here tonight. There's a shot from the point from Harding. That's blocked. Armstrong trying to get to it. Puck goes to the corner. Coming out from the corner is Demiglio. At the blue line, Harding. His shot blocked by Mitchell, and Mitchell's able to clear it. A couple of great blocks from Ian Mitchell. Colts caught on a line change. Here come the Steelheads up the wing. Shot stopped by Horebic. Got a piece of it. Pucks at the side of the net. Martin collects it here for the Colts. Martin will pass it ahead. Barton, that's center. He'll dump this one in off the end boards. No, they're going to say that's an icing call as he sent it in before the red line. And they'll bring this one back, but what a couple of shifts there from Aaron Mitchell. Two great blocks.
Yeah, he was doing really good there, getting in front of the pucks, and he may have to get in front of a couple more as the icing has caught him out there once again. And Brampton had a real nice opportunity there after that, as the Colts were trying to get all their guys off due to the icing, but with the long change, almost set up an opportunity for the Steelheads, but Horebic again with a nice save.
There's a shot from the point, goes wide of the net for the Steelheads. Puck's in the corner, Colts recover. We'll move this one forward. That's Jack Martin. Gooden couldn't hold that pass. Puck's in the neutral zone. And then it takes a weird bounce and ends up on the Barrie Colts bench. And now that we're past the midway point of the second period, it looks as though the two teams will leave the goaltenders as is. And why not? No score. Both goaltenders have been perfect so far tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Bowen and Horebic both having really good games. And both the backups, Peter Chalebowski for Brampton and Hagen Falk for the Colts, have both had opportunities already this preseason. There's still a few games to go in the preseason as well. So maybe just trying to get the starters loose and get them going.
Well, the next action for the Barrie Colts, they're going to be playing up in Midland against the Sarnia Sting on Saturday. It'll be almost like a home game, but I think technically the Sarnia Sting are going to be the home team for that game. Emerton back behind his own net. He'll pass this one ahead. Colts get this one out to center ice. David Green can't get that one out of the zone. Martin sets up Gooden. Gooden with a shot, and Bowen with a nice glove save. As Gooden had the lane, but couldn't beat that glove of Zach Bowen.
Good look there again for the Colts, and they started out the second period getting some more opportunities. Thought maybe they were going to be the more dominant team in this period, but Brampton's really turned it on since then, and this has been the best look Barrie's kind of had really since that power play opportunity the Colts had early in this period.
Yeah, they're still being outshot 20-12. And there's another chance, but Bowen was a high riser, able to make the save as firing that one off the draw was Joe Salandra.
Well, looking out of town right now, there's a big kind of Eastern Conference matchup going on. The Brantford Bulldogs playing the Niagara Ice Dogs tonight. They're right about at the same point. 10:50 to go in the second period. 3-1 for the Ice Dogs.
And of course, two former Barrie Colts on that Ice Dogs team, Riley Patterson and Grayson Tiller. And there's a broken stick for Wasselin. He has to come back. Puck's at center ice. Landra up to Desiderio. Desiderio going back behind the Brampton net. Knocked down there by Riley. Macedorian couldn't get a stick on it. Steelheads get it out to center. Sherratt will dump this one in. Horebic back behind his own net. He'll play it along the boards. Sherratt knocks it down for Brampton. Puck's in the corner. Witkowski's pass is blocked. Macedorian couldn't get that one past Witkowski as that battle continues in the far corner. 8.5 minutes left to go in the second period. And now we'll get the whistle as a Colt player was knocked over by Sherratt. But the puck wasn't moving, so they're just going to freeze it, and we'll get the face-off.
That can become a dangerous spot there, too. Ethan Armstrong with his head right down there. But luckily, all bad potential instances there were avoided, and everyone's all good.
So both teams will make changes here. As taking the draw here for the Steelheads will be Troy Patton up against Sam Black of the Barrie Colts. Face off to left to Horebic. Scrambled draw. Steelheads will win it, but that ends up going all the way back into the Brampton zone where Harding has to come back to play it. Eggleton receives the pass at center ice. He's going to dump this one in. Horebic back behind the goal. That's going to go around the boards. McCormick has it in his skates, passing that one ahead. Schneid had it there for a moment, but then put himself offside, and we get another whistle with 8:09 remaining.
It's been rather slow here tonight compared to the other night against Owen Sound. Like you said earlier, really felt like a regular season game the other night, Owen Sound, but still, this one really feels like a preseason game. Everyone just trying to get their feet wet. And when you got two quality goaltenders like Bowen and Horebic, not a lot of scoring goes on, and we've seen that so far tonight.
Yeah, such a different pace here between these two teams, who, of course, will see each other 6 times during the regular season, being Central Division rivals. They also still have one more preseason game to go, as that one will be held in Orangeville, is my understanding. Steelheads get this one out. That's center ice, picked up by Schneid. He's just going to dump this one in. Bowen out of his net to play it. Gives it up to David Green. Puts it off the end boards. Steelheads with it. Miglio. Lossing that one ahead. Carrying it forward is Arda. He's cut off. Battle in the corner now. Barton delivers a check as the scrum continues. Now the Colts will get it out. Puck comes to the near side at center ice. Black avoids the hit from David Green and then dumps that one in. Puck bouncing off the end board. Schneid first one on it, trying to tuck it around, but the puck got away from him. Steelheads recover. Out to center ice. Amato is going to dump this one in. Goes around the far boards. Emilio puts that one over the Colts net. McCormick at his own blue line. That pass goes behind the intended target. Edgar collects it now for the Colts, dropping it back. McCormick trying to hold on to it. Puck rolled on him. Edgar continues it around the boards. Riley picks it up here for Brampton. Takes the hit from Gardner. Puck's kept in by Edgar. Right back behind the Brampton net. Gardner taken to the boards there by Riley. Edgar's there as well. Steelheads. They have possession of it. They get it to the line and out. Mitchell in the neutral zone sends that one across. Gardner trying to get behind the defense. Ties up the stick of the defender. Puck goes back behind the Brampton net. Steelheads with possession. Emerton, though, comes off the point to play it. Marshall will take him into the boards. Brampton with possession of it. Riley sends it ahead, but Wasselin delivers the hit. Some good forechecking here from the Barrie Colts. Martin now with possession, sends it towards the net. Marshall up to Daniels. Daniels through center here for Brampton. He's stopped at the Colts blue line. Nearly too many men on the ice there for the Steelheads. Play continues. Puck's in front of the Colts bench. We'll send this one deep. Goyette back to play it. Martin will send him into the boards. A big hit. Hands are trying to keep it in, but Stankoven will get it out. Here's Witkowski. He's got some speed, but that's poked off a stick by Armstrong. Hanser sends this one to center ice. David Green settles it down for Brampton. And that's chipped into the zone by Witkowski. No icing. Armstrong, first one on it. Chips that one ahead. Stankoven's there. Up to Sherratt. Takes the shot. Stopped by Horebic. As Gabe Sherratt left alone in the slot. But a great save there from Ben Horebic. As we remain scoreless with 5:34 left to go in the second period.
Yeah, Brampton got a couple opportunities there. The first one from Witkowski. Looked like Alexander Sementsov was just trying to spin the puck back to his defenseman. Didn't get enough on it. Ended up being a 2-on-1 there for the Steelheads. Nothing came of it. And then Gabe Sherratt, the Colts found themselves in a scenario with 3 players to the outside there with only 2 Steelheads there. Sherratt had room up the middle to come in right on net, but Ben Horebic makes the save again.
So 5:34 to go. 21-13 are the shots for the Brampton Steelheads. And in this hockey game, Brampton has had 3 power plays, but have not been able to find the back of the net, while the Colts, 2 power plays of their own. As these two sides just continue to figure things out. And if you look at the Barrie Colts lineup here for tonight, one player who really stands out, Ethan Armstrong. And we saw him a bit last year at the end of the regular season, and he was showing those flashes, but here in the preseason, I think we're starting to see the real deal here with Armstrong.
Yeah, you could say the same thing for his partner here, Justin Hanser, as they head out on the ice. Both of them have had some really big plays on both sides of the ice. Is another thing that I really like about both of them is they've shown a defensive ability here tonight, but they're also not afraid to step up in the offensive zone and cause some havoc.
So with Kayshawn Aitchison and Evan Passmore both out of the lineup tonight, Hanser and Armstrong are being counted upon. Now it's a 2-on-1 for the Colts. Landrus pass blocked by Goyette. Puck's in the corner. Asadorian avoids the hit, stays with it. Alex Asadorian had his pocket picked by Witkowski. That puck sent out to center ice. Stankoven's there for the Steelheads. Sherratt sends it around the boards, ends up behind the Colts net. Witkowski's there, passes it in front, but that's taken away by the Colts. Desiderio flips that one into the Brampton zone, but doesn't go too far. Steelheads with possession. That's center. Eggleton came off the bench. Stankoven on the wing. Takes the shots, and that goes over the net. That puck will sail back to the neutral zone where it's picked up by Dragosika. They'll drop it back. Colts nearly took it away as Desiderio was right there, but Harding able to recover. Puck sent deep into the Colts zone. Hrebeck will play it along the boards. Puck goes in the air. Colts get it to the line, not out. Kept in by Harding. Harding, Dragosika receives the pass, takes the shot off the post. That actually may have gone off the knob of Hrebeck's stick and then the post, but it stays out. Steelheads with a shot from the point, kicked aside by Hrebeck, who's now picking up his stick. Puck's in the corner. Dragosika is there. Sent to the corner. Steelheads in front. Patton can't get the shot to go. Asadorian came and delivered the hit. Now it's the Colts moving it up. Schneid back to Asadorian. He's just going to dump this one in. Bowen trying to slow it down. Puck comes to the point. McCormick's there to keep it in. Schneid sends that to the corner. Picking it up, that's Harding. Harding's pass blocked. Steelheads now will get it out of the zone, but Schneid takes it away in front of the Colts bench. Vader inside his own blue line. Ahead for Sam Black. Black drops it back to Schneid. Schneid with a shot stopped by Bowen. And Zach Bowen aggressive in the crease right at the top, able to challenge the shooter.
Yeah, nice opportunity there for the Colts. And I want to know your opinion, Mike, because I was just wondering too. I think this third line's had a really strong night here of Black, McCormick, and Schneid.
I've been really impressed with this line as Schneid, we saw him in the first game against Owen Sound. Remember, he hit the crossbar, had a couple of good scoring chances, but now we're starting to see how he works with McCormick as he wasn't in the lineup that game on Monday night. And I've really been impressed with Jonah McCormick, especially when he brings that size. There's a shot from the point, stopped by Bowen. He lost his stick. Puck goes to the corner. Steelheads collect it. Riley, he'll put this one off the glass. Puck's bouncing at center ice. Chasing after it. There's the shot stopped by Hrebeck. As firing that one was Lucas Marshall. But Marshall not able to get all of it as we're now down to 3:10 remaining here in the second.
Did a really good job there, though, from Marshall. I mean, looked like the Colts defense was easily going to gather that one. He just kind of snuck in, knocked them off the puck there. And then on the other end there for the Barrie Colts, that third line with a couple nice opportunities. Bowen losing his stick, was caught without it, but Sam Black right on net. Bowen up to the task to make the save.
So face off here to the left of Ben Hrebeck as Gardner will take the draw. He wins that one. Emerton sends to the line, but not out. Kept in by the Steelheads. That shot goes wide of the net in front. Hrebeck kicks that one aside. As able to knock that one away was Edgar. Edgar gets to the loose puck in the corner, deep in his own zone. Drops it back for Emerton. Emerton up the wing. Edgar got a piece of it. Catches up to it in the Brampton zone. Across, deflected as Amato took it away from Gardner. Puck comes back to the point, but not able to keep it in was Emerton. Emerton inside his own blue lines, facing some pressure, peels back, gets some space. Now that long pass hits Mitchell at center, so no icing. Now it's a delayed offside. Puck's bouncing. Colts with possession. Emerton up to Edgar. He'll chip that one into the Brampton zone. Riley's there to collect it. Goyette comes out from behind the net. Steelheads with possession. They'll send this one into the Barrie zone. Barton is there for the Colts. Up the wing. Sitting there at the Brampton blue line. Salandra's pass. Deflected. Stankoven collects it. David Green passing that one across. Collected there by Goyette. He's going to send that one on goal. Hrebeck decides to play it. Witkowski trying to send that one back, but the Barrie Colts take it away. Asadorian overskates it. He's recovered, but there's a big hit as Desiderio run over by Gabe Sherratt. Play continues. Salandra kicked that one into the Brampton zone. Sherratt receives the pass. He falls as he collided there with Barton. There's a shot stopped by Hrebeck. Puck's at the line. Colts recover. Asadorian through the neutral zone. He'll carry this one in. Hits the brakes. Alex Asadorian towards the net. That goes to the corner. David Green passing that back behind his own net. Patton will skate through the neutral zone for the Steelheads. Sends that one deep. Patton to Eggleton. Eggleton tied up by Black. Hanser ahead for McCormick. He'll flip this one across ice. Armstrong's there at center. Armstrong, but Schneid just ahead of the play as that's going to be offside against the Barrie Colts with 1 minute remaining in the second period.
Good look there for the Steelheads again with Witkowski on a play set up by Gabe Sherrod, who's really all over this game for the Steelheads. I mean, offensively, defensively, penalty kill, power play, and real nice hit there on Nicholas Desiderio in the open ice, sending down the young Colts player.
Face-off won by the Steelheads as we're now in the final minute. Pass across for Eggleton. That doesn't connect. Armstrong skates it back into his own zone, being chased there by Eggleton. Puck goes off the boards. Patton to the net. Backhand, and that's sent over the net by Bottineau. McCormick. He's tied up at the far side by Harding. 38 seconds remaining. Steelheads will bat this one back into the Barrie zone. Hanser behind his own net, facing pressure. Armstrong, his pass nearly picked off. Now it's Schneid through the neutral zone. He has it on the wing. Hits the brakes, avoids the hit. Schneid still with it. Sends it to McCormick in front, but not able to connect. Vader trying to get a stick on it there. Steelheads with possession. Matto, Miglio, back to Amato. He was bumped. Loose puck collected by the Colts. 10 seconds left. Maybe time for one more rush. As McCormick tried to carry it in, but he was tied up. Colts with possession. Here's Gardner, takes the shots, and that will go wide right at the buzzer. As we still have no score here to report between the Colts and the Steelheads. It's been back and forth. The Steelheads generating most of the chances, outshooting the Colts right now, 27-16. But there's been some flashes there with the Barrie Colts in the second period where able to generate those opportunities and kind of making Bowen move a little bit more in his crease.
Yeah, it looked like really at the end of that period, too, the Colts had some good opportunities, and it started with that third line of Black, McCormick, and William Schneid getting a few opportunities there, and then Asadorian, Salantra, and Desiderio followed that up with a couple looks as well. And looking from a Brampton perspective, I mean, yeah, they have 27 shots, but it doesn't feel like too many of them have been of a certain high quality. I mean, you can think about the 2-on-1 opportunity the Colts broke up. Gabe Sherrod had a good chance alone in the slot, but really outside of that, a lot of their chances have been from the perimeters. The Barrie Colts defense has done a good job really in all spots here on the ice. They've had a good forecheck. They really controlled the neutral zone in that period as well. And all game long, really, it feels like in the defensive zone, the Colts have kept the Steelers to the outside.
Yeah, it's been quite remarkable to see what both Ethan Armstrong and Justin Hanser have been doing. They're the top pairing here tonight on the roster sheet, and they're playing like a top-line pairing. Armstrong with that desperation play, diving to disrupt that 2-on-1 that you talked about, and that's what the coaching staff is looking for with these preseason games. When you don't have Aitchison, Passmore, Eliason in the lineup, you need to know who's going to be that next man up, and we're kind of seeing that with guys like Armstrong, with Hanser, and even Mitchell blocking a couple of great shots there in the second period.
Yeah, Mitchell had a couple really nice block shots there, and he was on for a long while that shift. They had a couple icings as well, so to get in front of those pucks when a lot of guys are tired out in front of the net, that's very big for the Barrie Colts. And like you talked about, the Hanser and Armstrong, you mentioned Armstrong. Well, Justin Hanser in the first period as well with a highlight play when that puck got behind Ben Horebic and he was able to scoop it off the goal line there. So yeah, Hanser, Armstrong really strong. And then Eron Mitchell, as you mentioned, a guy we don't know much about, really coming into preseason. This is his first preseason game, and I think he's made a good name for himself here tonight.
So it's been a defensive effort so far for both the Colts and the Steelheads, as this is just the preseason. We're doing the audio broadcast here on the channel, and we're going to take a break so we can get a breather ourselves. And when we come back, we'll talk about some happenings around the Ontario Hockey League, and we'll also take a look at the chats. If you have any questions that you have about the team or even the OHL or CHL, we'll answer those questions in the chat, so you can put it over there. So it's no score here after 2 periods of play, and we'll return in just a few minutes. So it's the second intermission between the Barrie Colts and the Brampton Steelheads. No score to report here tonight as these two teams have been going back and forth. A very defensive effort here from both teams, although a lot of younger players and new faces in the lineup for both teams here as we get about 11 minutes away from the start of the third period. And we want to take this time to talk a bit about some news around the Ontario Hockey League as it's our kind of like a game notes feature, like we usually do on Rogers TV. Usually, it's you, Gene, and I who are doing the game notes, but Gene not able to make it out here tonight. So,
I kind of find it ironic because we talk about Gene as like the captain of the thing. So
the MVP of the
yeah,
broadcast.
so with Gene kind of unavailable here for these preseason games, it kind of feels like we're giving our star a rest during preseason. We don't want him hurting his voice too much during the preseason. So we're here instead of Gene, and we're trying to fill his shoes.
Well, he's also going to be coming on the road this season when we cover the Barrie Colts starting on September 28th. We'll be doing these audio radio broadcasts throughout the regular season. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet to the channel and you want to stay tuned with what's going on with the Barrie Colts, especially on the road, you'll be updated whenever we do these live streams. So if you hit subscribe today, you'll be notified. But yeah, Gene's going to be joining us on the road. We're going to find ways to get Josh involved with the road broadcast. And yeah, so now let's talk a bit about game notes because there was a bit of a shock to the system when Puckpedia announced over their social media feeds that 19-year-olds were going to be allowed to play in the National Hockey League as early as this season. Now, a little bit of a background. The CBA between the National Hockey League and the NHLPA was recently ratified. And in that, they said they want to allow one 19-year-old player per NHL club to go to the American Hockey League starting in the 26-27 season. So when Puckpedia made this claim that a change was coming immediately, it put a lot of junior hockey fans into a bit of a panic.
Yeah, no doubt. And along with the CBA, one thing that did happen is there is a few things from that CBA coming this year to the NHL, like with a salary cap in the playoffs and some LTIR loopholes being gotten rid of. But it was thought by Puckpedia that the 19-year-old junior rule was also coming to the NHL this season, but that is still something that they are going to bring in next season. And it did cause a lot of panic, like you said. OHL Twitter was freaking out about this. I mean, people were very worried about what the landscape of the OHL would look like, and rightfully so. I mean, you bring in the rule next year, and these teams have time to figure things out, but you got to look at it from a Barrie Colts perspective. You know, the season starts in 2 weeks, and they just find out all of a sudden, hey, by the way, the NHL teams are allowed to keep Baudouin and Aitchison. Like that could blow up some of these teams' plans this year. You look at Guelph, Jet Luchenko's a guy they want to move off of maybe at the deadline to get a bunch of picks for. They may have not been able to do that, and but like we said, that was false. It is coming in next year. It'll definitely be interesting to see as it's still talked about. One note, they're only allowed one 19-year-old per team through the entire CHL. So you have 32 NHL teams and 60 CHL players that would be up for grabs, I guess would be the word. And so, yeah, it's not going to ruin the OHL by any means. There's going to be some star players that may have had another year in the OHL that are now playing in the AHL. But you also got to think some of these teams would rather have these guys down on the OHL, maybe on like a super team like London. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs last year probably would have preferred Easton Cowan go to London, light up the scoreboard with a bunch of other star players instead of going to the AHL where he has to earn some ice time with some veteran players that the Leafs are going to use last year as call-ups to the NHL.
Yeah, so everything is we're getting a change almost weekly, it seems, with everything going on with the NCAA. And then when Puckpedia announced this, it just went into overdrive that the sky was falling when it came to junior hockey teams. But we can reassure you that the 19-year-old players who do not make it to the National Hockey League will have to come back to juniors. So that includes the likes of Cole Baudouin, Beckett Seneca, Sam Dickinson, Zane Parekh. The list goes on. So that's going to be a change for next year. Plus, I believe they still have to do negotiations with the Canadian Hockey League just to iron out how this is all going to work. And that change will come next season. Now, we do have the chat here on the channel. And we did have a comment asking about who we think will be the top scorer for the Barrie Colts this season. And that's the big question with this Barrie Colts team, with the North Bay line all moving on from last season, and Riley Patterson being traded to the Niagara Ice Dogs. That's been a big question around the arena here is who's going to take the lead when it comes to the goal scoring?
Well, yeah, and the one thing about the Barrie Colts right now is they are a defensive team, like we've said. So when you lose all of those guys, that's a lot of the Colts' higher end goal scorers. So it's still very much a question mark who are going to be the big contributors offensively for the Barrie Colts. You have Cole Beaudoin, obviously, but he's not all exactly the most gifted goal scorer. You know, he does a lot of things really well though that kind of make up for maybe not throwing 40 goals down a season, but he's a hard worker, good on the penalty kill, really strong defensively, and he's a good offensive player as well, but he's not a guy you're going to see score 40. Sean Aitchison, the guy we saw last year, put up almost 30 goals for the Barrie Colts. His last season in the OHL, more than likely, we could see him look to break his own record here for the Barrie Colts, as he has the single season record for goals by a Colts defenseman. We got some other names like Alex Asadorian, who could make a name for himself. Carter Lowe's a guy we haven't seen in a top six role. Who knows what he can do? Emil Hemming is a guy that is still on the Barrie Colts roster at this point. We don't know whether his future is the Dallas Stars, the Stars AHL team, the Barrie Colts, or another CHL team as well. We don't know that yet, but if Emil Hemming's back, he's a guy that could do very good for the Colts, or it may not be a guy we're thinking about right now. I mean, you just never know, especially with Beaudoin and Aitchison away early in the season. The Barrie Colts are going to be turning to other guys. As well, another thing, the Barrie Colts do have some draft picks. The guy that leads the Colts in scoring may not even be on the roster yet. You just never know what could happen. We got to stay on our toes. I mean, last year, the Colts went out and grabbed Dallin Wakely first week of the season. If the Colts make a trade like that again, that could be the guy leading the team in scoring.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out because it's great opportunities right now for, like you mentioned, Carter Lowe. What could he do in a top six role? Bodie Stewart last year was all about the assists. Could he find that next gear and become one of the top goal scorers? And we haven't really mentioned much about Brad Gardner being one of the three overagers. Gardner tonight has been fantastic again in the face-off circle, winning most of his face-offs. We've seen him get a couple of shots away, but he leaves you wanting a little bit more, but obviously he's going to have to shake off the rust. And so he's another candidate outside of Cole Beaudoin and Emil Hemming, because it sounds as though Emil Hemming will probably get some time with the Texas Stars in the American Hockey League before he comes back to Barrie. But still, we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. With this time of year, there's so much uncertainty with players with their National Hockey League clubs. But still, there's a lot of candidates, I feel, for the Barrie Colts. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if Marty Williamson, the general manager, looks to make a move to add another potential goal scorer on this team.
Yeah, I don't really think that this team is done offensively. I mean, I don't know if they'd be happy with this offensive group come playoff time. I mean, right now, at the beginning of the season, it's a solid group that you can build on, but not everyone's going to be as good as you think they're going to be. And some guys are going to be better than you think you'd be. So the Barrie Colts, they're hoping they have a few more good surprises than they do have bad surprises to help them out offensively. And I mean, before training camp rosters got announced, you really didn't think Riley Patterson would be going anywhere for the Barrie Colts. You assumed that Riley Patterson was going to be back. So maybe there is a guy right now that's going to an NHL camp for another team that says, you know what? You're sending me back to the CHL, but I don't want to play for that OHL team. And the Barrie Colts can come in and make that trade. We saw that last year with Colby Barlow. He didn't really want to go back to Owen Sound, so he says, you know what? I want out. He didn't come to training camp. He ended up going to Jets camp. And once he got back from Winnipeg Jets camp, he ended up being an Oshawa General. So maybe we see a trade like that for the Barrie Colts early in the year here.
Now, was it Amanda that got that conversation started?
That was Laura.
Oh, Laura got that conversation started. So thank you, Laura, for the comment in the chat, because now we're about 2.5 minutes away from the start of the third period. Barrie Colts, Brampton Steelheads, no score to report at this time, as it's been a defensive game. We've seen some good goaltending from both Ben Horebic and Zach Bowen. And I know coming into this season, there's been a lot of question marks about this Brampton Steelheads team. And what we're seeing right now is maybe the style we're going to get this year. Defense first and try and win those one-goal games, especially with how much talent has moved on from what we saw a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, Brampton Steelheads' big addition of the offseason really was in net, Zach Bowen. They had to pay a price to get Bowen, but in the end, they said, you know what, we don't really have a goaltender right now. We need a goaltender. So they go out, they get Bowen. He's an experienced goaltender. He was the starter last year in Peterborough. He's going to be a big role model as well for Johnson and Schlabowski, as they are maybe the future of the Brampton Steelheads in net. But right now, Zach Bowen's the present. He's doing a pretty good job here tonight as well. They've got some solid defenders on this team. Peter Green was their first round pick this season. Zachary Nyman's a guy that they've brought over that could be a very good addition defensively as well. So the Steelheads definitely have some pieces they're going to build around defensively and in net. And if, like you said, if they're going to want to win games, it may be that 1-0, 2-1 style of play. The good news about the CHL especially and the OHL is that there really isn't a team that's ever out of it, really. There's no team that's just so bad that you know they have no chance. The Steelheads, they're not contenders really right now. I don't think many people expect them to be a top-end team, but they still definitely have a shot at a playoff spot. Only 2 teams from each conference missed the playoffs. There's definitely question marks on many Eastern Conference teams coming into the season. So if a guy like Bowen can get the Steelheads all the way to the trade deadline in a playoff spot, maybe some reinforcements can come in through some trades. Maybe they add another defender. Maybe they add a forward to really help out this squad.
So it's going to be a fun season no matter what happens. But we're just about ready to go for the start of the third period. No score, like we mentioned, as it's been a defense-first kind of hockey game here tonight between these two Central Division rivals, although hasn't really been a chippy affair like we usually see when these two teams meet. But obviously, there's a lot of new faces on both sides, so they have to get familiar with one another before we get to that rivalry status.
Yeah, no doubt. And you see that a lot with the Barrie Colts tonight. Alex Asadorian centering Desiderio, and now Eamon Edgar here. So the Barrie Colts even still changing up some lines.
Yeah, just trying to see what works as we make our way through the preseason schedule. This is just the second preseason game for the Barrie Colts. They lost Monday night by a score of 5-1 against the Attack. But the third period now underway. The Colts have it along the far boards in the Brampton zone as it's a scrum. Back to the blue line. Armstrong takes the shot. That's blocked, getting in the way with Stankoven. Colts keep it in. They try and send it towards the net, but that's blocked. Steelheads will get this one out. Asadorian passing this one back to Justin Hanser. He's going to take it back behind his own net to regroup. Both teams complete line changes as Armstrong reaches center ice. He's going to dump it in. Knocked down by Goyette. Goyette dropping it back as Bottineau sends it forward. He's trying to get it up to Demiglio, but that's taken away by Emerton. Colts move this one through center ice. Salandra on the wing. Carrying it in, takes their shots, and that goes wide of the net. That puck will sail all the way back into the Colts zone as they'll play it here. Emerton to Wasselin. That bounced on him. It goes on the back of the net. Colts still with it. Joey Wasselin gets this out to center ice, picked up by Gardner. Gardner to McCormick. McCormick takes the shot. That's going to go wide of the net. Salandra back to the blue line. There's the shot. Bouncing, and that goes over the goal. Bowen didn't see where it went. There's the shot again from the point. Puck's rolling to the net, and Bowen had to slide across. He was looking in the wrong direction as he had Noah McCormick right on his doorstep. But the Steelheads goaltender able to recover in time.
Yeah, McCormick and Dragosika now going at it here, but cooler heads will prevail. And for the Barrie Colts there, they had McCormick out front, and he had kind of drawn 2 defenders with them. I don't know if Zach Bowen had any clue where that puck was, even when Cole Emerton shot it from the point. And as you saw there with the trickling, I mean, he didn't know where the puck was, but luckily someone alerted him to that, and he was able to slide across and get there before a Barrie Colt could tip it in.
A bit of a hot start here for the Barrie Colts in this third period as Vader puts it in front. Scores! In front, the Colts able to jam that one in. As scoring that one for the Barrie Colts is Alexander Sementsov.
Well, Sementsov, one of the Barrie Colts young guys that they are very excited about, and we knew there was going to be a transitioning period with the young player, and it looks like there's a nice moment for him to get that first goal, as you knew there was going to be that transitioning period for these young guys, but Sementsov gets a nice opportunity out front. He maybe hasn't brought what Barrie Colts fans are going to see over the next couple of years. It's Sementsov get to the Barrie Colts, but getting a goal there to get the Colts on the board.
He was pretty excited that he got that one to go. It's That first of many, I'm sure, from Alexander Sementsov. Mind you, it is preseason, so it's not going to count towards his regular season stats, but still, a goal's a goal. And right now, the Colts, they have the lead. Puck's at center ice. We'll see how the Steelheads respond as Harding will send this one forward. Puck's at center. Dumping that one in was Bottineau. Vader overskates it behind his own net. Following it up will be Barton. Barton from his own blue line. His pass deflected. Steelheads trying to carry it in. 2-on-1 developing. Larman in front, but a nice play by Vader to take away that chance. Mensah sends it into the Brampton zone, but it's taken away by the Steelheads. Puck sent deep. Starting to have a quicker pace now that we have that first goal. Puck's bouncing side of the Colts net. Hrebeck couldn't cover it up. Martin, he's taken into the boards. Armstrong will play it to Hanser. Hanser, he stood up. Steelhead's taken away. Turning it around. Here's Goyette at the point. Goyette with the shot. That goes off a skate and wide. David Green off the point. He'll send that one around the boards. Goyette drops it back to the blue line. Goyette run over there by Mitchell. He's been having a great game for the Barrie Colts tonight. Martin trying to dig this one free as it's a scrum in the near corner, deep in the Barrie zone. Larman knocked it free there for the Steelheads. Goyette at the point. Doesn't take the shot. Now he will. That's wide. Gooden dropping it there for Mitchell. He's going to skate this one ahead, reaches center, and dumps it in. He's going to peel off for a change as David Green will come back to play it for Brampton. Green has got some momentum, reaches center ice. He's tied up. Puck doesn't go too far. Colts pick it up. Joey Wasselin. This pass deflected. That's center. Steelheads will pick it up. Dragosika got it to the Colts blue line, but no further. Wasselin can't hold on to it. Asadorian now for the Colts. They'll send that one around the boards. There's Edgar on the far side. Chips it out to the neutral zone. Brampton able to pick this one up. That's bouncing. After it, here's Eggleton. Eggleton hits the brakes, passes it in front. That's blocked. Stan Coven goes around the net, sitting there. Steelheads trying to get to it. Go around the boards yet again. Sherratt to the corner. Eggleton send it back to the blue line. Harding takes the shot, blocked in front. Playing a hit with Kowski. Now the Colts get it out to center. It's Edgar. Backhand pass to Desiderio. Desiderio takes the shot. That's blocked. Desiderio will now head back for a line change. Steelheads with possession inside their own blue line. They'll get this out to center ice. D'Amiglio takes the hard hit as that was Vader delivering the check. Landra lost it in his skates. Colts will take it back into their own zone. McCormick sending this one forward. That's knocked down by the Brampton player. That's D'Amiglio. Vader comes out from behind the net. Big Vader reaching center ice. He's got momentum. Gives it up to Salandra. Takes the shot. Deflected. Went off the skate of David Green. Puck's at center. McCormick loses the handle of it. Puck's on the Colts blue line. Salandra passing it up. Here's McCormick. He's got momentum going into the attacking zone. He'll hit the brakes. Backhand. Kicked aside by the goaltender. Good save there by Bowen. Hanser rides the blue line over to Armstrong. His shot kicked aside by Bowen. Salandra sends it back to the blue line, but Patton got a stick on it. Hrebeck coming out of his net to play it. Continue to put more pressure here on the Steelheads. Here's Armstrong. Takes the shot, deflected over the net. A lot of pressure now from the Barrie Colts ever since they got that goal from Sementsov. Steelheads, though, will carry it in. Down low. That's knocked away by Hanser. Colts get to the line, not out. There's the shot. Hrebeck makes the save. He had Amato in front. Amato on his backside, still able to play it. Puck's taken to the corner. There's the shot. Hrebeck the save, and he's able to cover it up as Patton was on the doorstep trying to get to that rebound, but Ben Hrebeck has been perfect on 28 shots so far tonight.
Colts were caught there with only one defender back. If Patton had waited a moment, I think he would have had Sean Matthew Goyette sneaking up the wing there for a wide open shot, but still a good opportunity there for Patton. Thought the Colts line, that new look line there of Salandra, Gardner, and McCormick had a couple really good opportunities. Ethan Armstrong set up one. Teague Bader set up another for Joseph Salandra there. Kind of dropped the pass back and then it took out the defender to give Salandra a lane to the net. But Zach Bowen makes the saves again and we remain at 1-0.
There was some chaotic moments there deep in the Brampton Steelhead zone as the Colts just putting chance after chance. As we're down to 13:54 left to go here in the third period, 1-0 for the Barrie Colts. And it's amazing how the game can change when you get that first goal. As it seemed as though in the first two periods, they were kind of taking their time. They didn't want to make those mistakes. And then now in the third period, you get that goal, and things really starting to open up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really those first two periods, things seemed calm and relaxed, and a lot of play in the neutral zone where pucks weren't getting much farther than that. But really after that goal, the ice just seemed to open up for both these teams, and seems like there was a couple opportunities on both sides, but neither team after that goal is able to beat the goaltender since.
So we'll get a face-off now to the right of Ben Harevic. Face-off won by the Colts. They're able to get this one out and down the ice. Goyette collecting it here for Brampton. Sends that one forward. Pass taken away by Wasselin. Wasselin takes the hit from Sherratt. Stankoven trying to carry this one in. Side of the net. In front shot. Scores! Gabe Sherratt found the loose puck in front. Puts it top shelf. And this game is now tied.
Well, good opportunity there for Matej Stankoven to play with top guys like Witkowski and Gabe Sherratt. And Sherratt, it felt like it was only a matter of time before he was going to be able to find the back of the net here. He's been all over this game, has had a couple good opportunities in the offensive zone, and it takes 29 shots, but the Steelheads have finally been able to beat Ben Harevic.
So for Sherratt, that's now 3 goals in this preseason as he's been the leading scorer for Brampton. 5 points in 3 games now. So let's see how the Colts respond after giving that one up. There's a turnover. Patton will keep it in the attacking zone for Brampton. Barton back behind his own net. Passing this one forward. That's Martin. We'll send this one in, but that's going to be an offside call against the Barrie Colts with 13:14 left to go in the game.
Be interesting to see here. Brampton able to tie this game up if they can keep that momentum going and carry it over here, as I can see a Steelheads fan in the chat getting very excited right now. So getting into some enemy territory there with that boom along with a fish emoji. But yeah, very excited for your team. It's tied at 1 now.
There are some pretty passionate Brampton Steelhead fans, and I've seen it running the channel, just how passionate they can be, and glad to see that's carrying over here in the chat for tonight's broadcast. Steelheads trying to carry this one towards the net. That'll roll away from Witkowski, and Harevic will cover it up. We'll get another face-off here, and we'll see if that cautious play will return now that this game is tied up once again.
Yeah, maybe these teams now both looking to try and not allow that next goal. You know, they don't want to be, and when you want to do that, you try and be very careful with the puck, especially, and sometimes that means you're not getting enough offensively for you yourself to get that next goal, so it'll be interesting to see.
Face-off won by the Steelheads. There's the shot, wide of the net, rebound, and Harevic able to make the save. As it was Kieran Riley who fired it from the point. And that was a little bit of chaos deep in the Barrie zone.
Kind of similar here to what happened after Barrie scored. I mean, the Colts scored, and then it felt like they got the juices flowing and they were going. And for the Brampton Steelheads here, they get that goal, and now they've followed it up with a few more opportunities.
Colts are able to get this one out of the zone, but they got too much on it. That's going to be an icing call. So we're going to bring this one all the way back into Barrie territory as we're now down to 12:40 to go.
You can tell it's a tight defensive game because there's been a lot of whistles here. Seems like Brampton's just kind of firing shots on net. Harevic's just holding them, and then the Colts there just flipping it down the ice, trying to get it away from pressure.
Well, the shots now favoring Brampton 31-18. As we saw a flurry of chances to start this third period from the Barrie Colts, and now Brampton seems to have come back as Bowen nearly gave up the puck right behind his net. Steelheads are able to get this one out to center ice. Carrying it in, it's Stankoven takes the shot, scores! What a shot from Matej Stankoven, picks off the far side. And the Steelheads, they have their first lead of the night.
Well, that's something hockey fans are used to with Logan Stankoven, but Matej Stankoven, I mean, Man, what a shot there. He didn't need any help from his line mates there, Sherratt and Witkowski. He just came up the middle, snuck in the zone. He wasn't even really that close to Rebic, but he just fires it right at the net and is able to beat the goaltender, as this line of Sherratt, Witkowski, and Stankoven clearly has found a ton of chemistry here as they have a pair of goals here in the third.
What a response from the Brampton Steelheads, and that was a mid-season form kind of shot from Matej Stankoven.
I think Gabe Sherratt may be in James Richmond's office tomorrow saying, I want that guy on my wing this year.
And now we're getting a whistle as Brad Gardner gave a bit of a cross-check to Patton off the face-off. Those two are going to go off for penalties, as they were having a word with one another right off the draw. So it's going to be a roughing penalty to both parties. So it's going to be some 4-on-4 hockey here.
Well, it looks like the chirpings continued as they take a seat there in the penalty box, but yeah, not much to say about it. I mean, they just right off the draw, it seemed like those two didn't really have intentions of playing hockey, but yeah, not something you usually see out of Brad Gardner. You expect it more out of some other guys. I mean, Jonah McCormick is on his line. That's something you'd expect out of him, but Gardner showing some physicality here.
So it's going to be 4-on-4 for the full 2 minutes. Face-off won by the Steelheads, as David Green will play it. We are there for Miglio. Green to Dragusica. Dragusica just passed through the neutral zone. That's just going to roll on net, as Hrebic will cover it up. And we'll get the face-off now back in the Colt zone.
Slandra and Eggleton got into it a bit of front there. That was nice deflection by Eggleton. If he was able to knock it down, he may have had an angle to get past Slandra and set up a breakaway opportunity, but just a bit too much on the pass, so it deflects in on net, and Rebic's able to gather, but still an offensive zone draw for the Steelheads.
Colts are going to make a late line change, as Emerton will come on in place of Ethan Armstrong. Face off to the right of Ben Hrebic. Colts will win that draw. Emerton back behind his own net. 1:30 left in this 4-on-4 situation, as McCormick skates it ahead, reaches the blue line, still with it at center. Leads to some pressure there, as Bottineau will take it away now for the Steelheads. Bottineau gets it again right at center ice. He's going to carry it in. His shot towards the net, guided to the side by Hrebic. Ganser will take this one forward. Ahead for McCormick. Jordan McCormick sends it across. Vader trying to catch up to it. Riley's there for Brampton. Amato from his own blue line. Puck's bouncing on him. Regains possession right at center ice. Trying to cut to the outside. Salandra was there. Puck goes wide of the net. Vader picks up the loose puck. He'll send this one back to Armstrong. McCormick receives the pass at center ice. McCormick passing that one ahead, but Salandra didn't like his option, so he decides to peel back. 35 seconds left in the 4-on-4 situation. 2-1 for the Steelheads. They scored 2 unanswered here in the third period, as Simonsov takes the shots, and Bowen able to cover that one up. Didn't give up any sort of rebound. And we'll get the face-off in the Brampton zone.
Simonsov maybe feeling a bit better about his play after that goal he got there. Does a nice job coming into the zone. And once again, that play kind of set up by the defensive play of Justin Hanser and Ethan Armstrong. A nice pass out by Armstrong to Simonsov to set up that opportunity.
Face-off won by the Steelheads. David Green back behind his own net. Moves it up to Harding. We've seen plenty of David Green, but nothing of Peter Green since the first period. So keep an eye on that situation. I don't think I see Green on the bench for the Steelheads. Now it's the Colts who will carry it in. They drop it back. Armstrong trying to keep it in. That'll roll out to center ice. The penalized players back out. So back to 5-on-5 hockey. 10-12 left to go in the third period. Colts down by 1. Patton hits the brakes. Taken down there by Hanser. Patton still trying to play it from his knees. Puck goes to the corner. Ethan Armstrong back behind the net. We'll send up to Hanser. Justin Hanser. This pass deflected, but still finds Gooden at center ice. Or Simonsov, rather. He flips that one high in the air. That's batted down. Schneid sends that one back to Wasselin. Barton Up to Gooten. He'll just tip that one deep into the Brampton zone. Riley tying up his man. Plays it around his own net. Arda chips that one off the boards. Black couldn't hold on to that. Marshall ahead for Riley. Riley gets around Gooden. Riley to the net. Stopped by Harevic. Puck still loose as the Steelheads trying to pounce on that with Lucas Marshall in front. Colts with possession. Gooden's got some space to work with. He's going to carry this into the Brampton zone. Gooden trying to go between the legs, but that's knocked away by the Steelheads defender, Harding. Joey Wasslin sending that one across. Catching up to it is Emerton. That's deflected. Gooden will be the first one on it. Gooden. He's tied up. There's a stick that flew in the air. That's Gooden's stick. Steelheads will get it out. Play continues. That's sent down the length of the ice. Harevic decides to cover it up with 8:39 left to go in this hockey game.
That stick fly was a bit out of nowhere there. Didn't really notice someone hitting it out of it, but all of a sudden it was flying through the ice just behind the net of Bowen, and then Sementsov over here as well. I mean, the way he flipped that puck in the air, I'm surprised he didn't hit the rafters with how high that one got.
Yeah, we've got liftoff here in the third period.
Come on.
Face-off won by the Steelheads. There's a shot off the draw as Harevic makes that save. That was Goyette who fired it for Brampton right off the face-off.
Brampton finding themselves in a similar spot that the Colts did the other night after Aitchison had to leave the game with no Peter Green. They got 5 defensemen, so just trying to rotate them around, and that kind of helps you in preseason as well. Try and figure out some different pairings you can work with going into the regular season.
And also getting those extra reps out there as Harding fires one on net. Harevic makes the glove save. So we'll do another face-off here. Ben Harevic, he has been busy tonight. That's now 38 shots on goal for the Brampton Steelheads, while Barrie still sitting on 19 shots. Face-off to the left of Harevic. That is going to be tossed out, so we'll do this again. 8:33 left on the clock. Larman will step in here for Brampton. He'll win the faceoff. McCormick gets to it first, however. He's going to skate this one ahead, trying to catch up to the rolling puck, but Harding able to bail out his defender. Vader moves it up to Emerton, up the wing. That pass doesn't connect. It goes right back into the Barrie zone. Cole Emerton sending that one forward. Slanger couldn't control that pass. Here's Gardner. Brad Gardner with some speed, trying to cut to the middle. That got away from him. Gardner still with it. He's doing a lap in the offensive end. Back to the point. Emerton takes the shots, and Bowen, despite the crowd in front, he's able to hold on to it. Now we've got some pushing and shoving behind the Brampton Steelheads nets as Gabe Sherratt and Jake Vader mixing it up. We'll see if we get any penalties out of this. I don't think anything's been indicated, but starting to see a little more emotion from both these teams.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with this Gardner, McCormick, Edgar, or Salandra line out there for the Barrie Colts. McCormick, obviously, you know, he's going to be physical, and Brad Gardner showing a bit of a physical presence here tonight alongside Teak Vader, who's really not afraid to get into anything with anyone.
We have 8 minutes left in this hockey game. Barrie Colts find themselves down by 1. Right now, James Richmond getting an explanation from the official, wondering why there maybe wasn't a penalty on that play. But either way, we're going to get the face-off now to the right of Zach Bowen. Scramble draw. Steelheads with it. Riley comes from behind his own net. Steelheads get this one out to center ice. Fontenot will chase after the loose puck. Hanser gets to it first. Hanser trying to catch up to it as it rolls to the corner. Edgar passing that one across. Armstrong. Across, his pass nearly picked off by Demiglio. Hanser dropping it there for Armstrong. Fans on that pass attempt, picked off there by Eggleton to the net. Harevic will bat that to the corner. Steelheads causing a lot of confusion here for the Barrie Colts as they're trying to make those passes out. Edgar off the end boards, gives it up to Hanser. Justin Hanser across, finds Edgar. He'll skate this into the offensive end. Edgar on his backhand, still with it. He's tied up now, and his shot goes right into the skate of David Green. Green giving it up to Stankoven. Stankoven takes the hit. Green to the net, but Rebick able to send that to the corner. Stankoven across one-timer, and that's put wide of the net by Sherratt. Gabe Sherratt nearly got his second of the game. Steelheads dump it in, but that hits a Steelhead player. And it's an offside call with 6:50 to go. But this top line for Brampton, giving all the Barrie Colts can handle.
Yeah, that was a really nice play again from Matej Stankoven. Gets down on one knee to pass that puck across to Sherratt, and he just missed. There, nice opportunity. Colts have to be careful with these guys as they're seeming to get more and more opportunities right up front.
I know that it's just the preseason, but Matej Stankoven might be worth the price of admission this season. As that's going to be an icing call now against the Brampton Steelheads. Some rough stuff at center ice, but we're just going to bring this puck back into the Brampton zone.
That looked like Sam Black there laying a nice hit on Luke Dragaseka. Sika. Wow.
Wow.
The Steelheads tried to get it down the ice and may have set up that icing.
Face off to the left of Bowen. Colts win the draw, but they lose the handle of it. Puck's bouncing out to center ice. Good work there by Sementsov to take the puck away from Marshall. Vader across. That's center. Sementsov losing it there to Amato. Puck's bouncing into the Colt zone. Vader will come back to pick it up. 6:20 left. Black puts that one off the linesman. They have to regroup. Schneid on the far side. Puck's poked there by Dragaseka. Back to the blue line. That's Emerton. Wasselin on the near point. Takes the shot. That's kicked aside by Bowen. Steelheads get it to the line. Not out. Kept in by Schneid. Puck will go to the far side. Dragaseka's there. Sementsov trying to throw the hit. Puck comes back to the point. Kept in by Emerton. Takes the shot. Hit a player in front. That was Amato. Here's Schneid. Takes the shot. Blocked in front. Steelheads pick up the rebound, and they'll skate it out. That's center. Amato's just going to dump it in. Larman gives chase on the forecheck. Takes the shot. Rebick able to make the quick save. Wasselin gets this one out to center. Gooden trying to catch up to that loose puck. Here's a chance now for Martin in front of Gooden. Gets a stick on it. It's loose for a moment. But Zach Bowen able to cover it up as Gooden had that chance. He was trying to use that reach of his, but just couldn't connect as it remains 2-1 Brampton with 5:25 to go.
A nice opportunity there, really set up by Jack Martin. He was able to knock that puck free and try and flip it in front for Gooden, but just not enough on it to beat Zach Bowen as we enter the final 5 minutes of this one. This is an interesting spot for these Barrie Colts young guys here, as this is, you look at the game on Monday against the Owen Sound Attack, and that one ended up a bit out of reach by the time we got to this point. So now they're in a situation only down by one here late in the third period where they are playing with the game on the line here, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond to that.
Well, it's been an entertaining game here tonight. It's been kind of like a chess match between these two teams. As the first two periods, a very defensive first game. Weren't seeing too many risks, but here in the third period, definitely a few more chances and a few more physical moments between these two.
Yeah, no doubt. It felt like once Barrie Colts got that goal, things started cooking on both sides, and the Brampton Steelheads have really taken advantage of that as the shot total has quickly crept up to 40 here on the night. Ben Rebick's done a great job stopping 38 of 40. The only two to beat him, Gabe Sherratt and Matej Stankoven, with one of the more nicer shots we've seen all preseason.
So look at the face-off here to the left of Bowen. It's won by the Colts. Emerton takes the shot, kicked aside by Bowen. We got the referee blowing the whistle at center ice. The play just kept going. Not sure why.
Doesn't look like the clock started.
That would do it. I'm looking at the play. I'm not looking at the scoreboard.
Bit of confusion as the official will go over. And to be honest, there was a kid squealing a bit earlier. I don't know if you heard that.
I did hear that.
Yeah, so I think the players just kind of thought that was something from the crowd, and it just kept going and going. And
well, I can confirm the clock is now running. So the play is back on as the puck goes behind the Brampton net. That's Desiderio trying to carry it in front. He's taken down. Steelheads get it out. Puck's at center ice. Bontanno trying to catch up to it. It's taken away by Salandra. Vader in his own zone. He'll send that one around the boards. 5 minutes remaining here in this hockey game. Colts down by 1. Vader to Desiderio. He lost the handle of it. Bontanno sends that deep. Miglio. He's tied up by Emerton. There's a battle ensues behind the Colts net. Vader ahead to Gardner. He's going to flip this one out to center ice. Puck's bouncing. Green to Goyette. Goyette up the wing. That's deflected. Vader will be the first Colt back after it. Riley deep in his own zone for the Steelheads. Colts are making a line change. 4:18 left in this hockey game. We'll keep an eye on Ben Harevic as the Colts are down by 1. Edgar, the backhand pass. Schneid lost his footing. Steelheads are able to get this one down the ice. Hanser back to play it as icing is waved off. Well, the forecheck is Sherratt. Kind of caught Hanser off guard. Sherratt took it away. Puck's in front. Sent aside by Harevic as Witkowski had a chance as the puck was bouncing. This is the line that's been giving the Colts a lot of issues all night. Now it's Justin Hanser from his own blue line. Up to Armstrong. He's going to flip this one deep into the Brampton zone. Dragosika trying to send that one ahead. Puck's at the line, but Barton couldn't get there in time to keep it in the offensive end. Steelheads will skate this one ahead. There's the shot stopped by Harevic. As firing that one was Manuel Amato.
Mike, just one note. By the looks of the Barrie Colts bench, it looks like they only have 11 forwards right now, and the only name I'm not seeing is Alex Asadorian.
It has been a while since we've noticed him out there. We saw him at the beginning of the third period, but
looked like he took a shift or two, and then noticed that Iman Edgar ended up on a line with Joseph Salandra and Iran Mitchell. I believe Edgar and Desiderio started with Asadorian, so doesn't look like Asadorian's been out there for a while.
So we'll keep an eye on that situation here as there's a turnover. Patton had it for a moment. Amato fires, blocked by Barton. Barton able to pick up the loose puck. He'll skate this one to center. Ahead for Black. Black trying to send that one deep. That goes around. Gooden. He takes a hard hit. Amato took him down, and the Steelheads get this one out to center ice. Vader. The neutral zone ahead for Black. Black. He'll dump this one in. He took a hit. There's a Steelhead player trying to put him in the bench. Puck goes back into the Colts zone. 2:40 remaining. Armstrong sends that one in. They're going to call this icing against the Colts. So this is going to come all the way back into the Barrie zone with 2:37.
Be interesting to see how long before the Colts feel like pulling Ben Harevic. We're in a new age of hockey where some teams wait a while. The other teams, they kind of want him out and having a ton of time with the extra attacker.
So face-off to the right of Ben Harevic as Edgar takes the face-off, won by the Steelheads. Montanaro behind the Colts net. He'll play it. Got by Eggleton. Eggleton from the half boards will give that one up to Demiglio. Demiglio lost his glove, staying with it. Demiglio passing that one across. There's the shot from the point. Harevic the save. He'll hold on, and this will allow the Barrie Colts to make a line change.
It's got to be very nerve-wracking when you have that glove off, and there's a guy charging at you with his stick moving all around, man.
But it's also got to feel weird when you're holding the stick with your bare hand.
Feel a lot lighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're now down to 2:17 to go. But the Brampton Steelheads shooting the Colts 42-22. 2-1's the score. As Brad Gardner takes the draw here for the Colts. Emerton with possession of it. We'll send it over to Desiderio. Desiderio up to Gardner. Trying to send that one in. He will. Bowen behind his own net to play it. Goyette had the puck knocked off his stick. And yep, Harevic's off. Extra attacker on for the Colts. Vader to Emerton. Vader again takes the shot. Deflected side of the net. Salandra couldn't get the shot to go. Gardner back to the blue line. Vader's shot stop. Rebound. Salandra couldn't get there in time. Puck goes over the stick of Salandra. Stankoven will take it around his own net. taken away there by Semensov. Desiderio behind the goal. Gardner digs it free. Around the boards, back to Vader. Emerton can't hold on to it, and it's now taken out by Wiskowski. Wiskowski with a shot off the post. He hits the post with the empty net, so the Colts still have life. Puck's at center, dumped in by Gardner. Bowen will come out of his net to play it. Trying to go for the goalie goal, but he's going to put that one wide as the bench of the Brampton Steelheads having some words there for Zach Bowen as he was looking for the empty net himself.
Well, it was kind of funny as it looks like we're going to get a timeout here by the Barrie Colts. The second you noticed he was going for the empty net, there was a collective, basically everyone. But for Witkowski there before that, doesn't get much closer than that, just off the post, and it's set up by Team Vader's pass there to Cole Emerton, just a bit ahead of Emerton's stick. So that's how that got set up. Joseph Salandra had a couple decent opportunities there, couldn't get a shot on net. The first one, the puck just deflected to him down low, but it tipped over his stick. And if he was able to gather it cleanly there at first, he may have had an open net in case Bowen wasn't able to get across in time. And then also off a shot, he had a nice rebound opportunity, but Brampton player got in front of him here. Looks like he'll stay out here as the Barrie Colts look to tie this game with 1:13 to go.
So the Colts sending out Desiderio, Semensov, Salandra, Mitchell, Gardner, and Emerton. Those are your 6 players with the empty net. No surprise, Brad Gardner will take the draw here to the left of Bowen. But he's going to be tossed out of the... No, he's just giving him a warning. Face off won by Patton. Steelheads trying to get it out. It's kept in at the point by Emerton. Puck's in the air. They whack at it. Salandra shuts the boards. Salandra fired it, but Mitchell in front with the tip. And this game is tied at 2 with just over a minute remaining.
Well, 2 really impressive notes there. The first one, a great call by head coach Dylan Smoskowitz. Didn't have Ron Mitchell out at first, has him out here as a net front presence, and he delivered exactly that off the shot from Joseph Salandra. And then the other one, the Brampton Steelheads looking to clear, and Cole Emerton able to get right out in front of that puck and block it right at the blue line. Look, destined to head down the ice for icing. Emerton, the young defenseman, gets in front of it, and we're tied once again here with 1:06 to go.
What a game for Eron Mitchell. Couple of great block shots in the second period, and then he's put out there in the dying moments and deflects it in. And we're tied at 2. And just a reminder, if we are tied at the end of regulation, the game will automatically go to a shootout. So no overtime in the preseason as Bontenot will skate through the center ice area. His shot over the net. Bontenot in the corner. We'll leave it there for Angleton. Angleton trying to come out in front. Loose puck picked up by the Colts. It's Hanser up to Desiderio. Desiderio will send this one out to the neutral zone. Picked up by Salandra. Salandra had that knocked away from him. Puck's in the slot. Steelheads will collect it. Go ahead. In his own zone. 20 seconds remaining. Steelheads seem to be okay with letting the clock run as Harding will just go back behind his own net. 10 seconds left. Maybe one more rush. Harding sends this one forward. Sherratt through the neutral zone. We'll dump this one in, but that will do it for regulation. As Aaron Mitchell, with the dramatics, ties the game at 2, and this game will now be settled in a shootout.
Well, and Aaron Mitchell is kind of the perfect description of what the Barrie Colts are looking at here in this preseason. Last year, you kind of knew who the guys were that were going to play for the Barrie Colts, and there wasn't much competition. It was more competition for ice time. Really, here this year, it's about who's even going to be in the lineup, and a guy like Aaron Mitchell here tonight has definitely made a statement, and Dylan Smoskowitz and Marty Williamson can have a long conversation about where they want Mitchell this year.
So we're just getting ready for the shootout here between the Colts and the Steelheads. And remember, they did change the rules for this season, so we will no longer see the Zambonis go out to do the dry scrape. They'll just have the arena crew come out and shovel the ice. Although they're not doing it here tonight, they just want to get this game done. But Sementsov, he's going to be the first shooter here for the Barrie Colts. So Sementsov, 1 goal tonight. He opened the scoring here in the third period. He's going to go wide on net. Forehand, backhand, and Bowen keeps that left pad down.
Nice move there by Sementsov. Maybe a guy you'd more expect to fire a shot away, but there he tries to get as close to Bowen as he can, but Bowen able to get the pad out there.
So Gabe Charant, the next shooter here for Brampton. He's got a goal tonight himself. 5 points in 3 preseason games. Why not go with the hot stick here in the shootout as he carries it in? Comes in quick, takes the shot, tried to go 5-hole, but Ben Horevic says no.
Very loud boo from the Barrie Colts crowd. They were ready to attack there, and Sherratt comes in, tried to go 5-hole. Horevic up to the task.
So next up, Joe Salandra. He'll be the second shooter. So Salandra picking up the puck at center ice. He's going to go wide on the near side as they go to the net. Salandra in the slot, forehand scores. Tuck that one around Bowen. So the Colts, they have the edge here in the shootout.
Nice move again there by Salandra. Kind of similar to Sementsov, but opposite hand sticks, of course. So he's going forehand compared to Sementsov's backhand, but both have been on the left pad of Zach Bowen. Wonder if the Colts have a strategy here in this shootout.
So now it's Matej Stankoven. He had a beautiful goal in the third period. Let's see what he can do here with the shootout as he weaves his way into the zone. Stankoven with the shot, tried to go blocker side, but Ben Horevic makes the save.
Nice job by Horevic there being up to the task. Had to be ready as we saw Stankoven's shot earlier. It's definitely a pretty fast one, but Horevic up to the task as the Colts can win it here.
So Brad Gardner, he can be the hero tonight for the Barrie Colts. As he'll carry this one in, he goes wide on the near side. Gardner on goal, forehand, backhand, trying to tuck that one around. But that one just stays out. The official had to be above the net to make sure that puck did not cross the line.
At Gardner are close, and again, that left pad of Bowen, it seems very clear the Colts have a plan in place to try and attack that left pad here in the shootout, and they've gone 1 for 3.
So now it's Kieran Witkowski, his chance to extend the shootout. As the Boo Birds are out here at the Saddlein Arena, Witkowski comes in, around, and he misses the net. And that will do it as the Barrie Colts win their first game of the preseason by a final score of 3-2. They needed the shootout to make it happen, but it was an entertaining one nonetheless here at the Saddlein Arena as the Colts get the job done. We had to wait until the third period to get our first goal of the game. Sementsov opened the scoring, but still encouraging signs here for the Barrie Colts, seeing a lot of the younger players really being involved in the play and really getting this game going.
Yeah, no doubt. And that goal there late really feels like the Barrie Colts team of last season, as it felt like whenever that team was down by 1 late in the game, you knew they were going to tie it up. I mean, you can just remember the big moments from Tayshaun Aitchison. Carter Lowe scored with like 0.3 left on the clock against this Brampton Steelheads team. And Aaron Mitchell had about 1:05 to work with before he gets to that Carter Lowe area, but he does get the deflection for the goal. And it was nice to see the Colts win here in a shootout. I remember watching that blue versus white game. The Colts had a bit of an issue with scoring in that shootout. It went on for a while, but a good performance here tonight from the Barrie Colts overall.
It was in the preseason, you just never know who's going to be the hero in any given night. It could be one of the new faces. It could be one of the players from last season. And tonight, you really have to give credit to Mitchell. He was blocking shots there in the second period. And then for Dylan Smoskowitz to have that confidence to send him out there with the goalie pulled, he's got the big body. He can go to the net, create that screen, and it paid off here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like you said about Dylan Smoskowitz making that decision, originally when they went 6-on-5, Aaron Mitchell wasn't one of the 6, but he says, you know what? I want to get a bigger body there out in front. And basically right away, it paid off for them. I mean, the first shot they got there was the deflection by Mitchell. And this is why you play preseason games for guys like Aaron Mitchell that may have not gotten the opportunity to come a regular season game, but because he's playing here in preseason, he makes a name for himself, especially here tonight.
So they're just announcing the 3 stars here at the Saddlein Arena. Gabriel Sherratt of the Brampton Steelheads is your 3rd star of the night. And Gabriel Sherratt, What a game here tonight for him, really keeping the Brampton Steelheads in this one. Joe Salandra named the second star. He scored in the shootout, which it was a nice tuck play there on Bowen to get the goal. And the winner, or your first star here tonight, Ben Horevic, 42 shots by the Brampton Steelheads. He was busy all night long, but he seems to be in regular season form.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said earlier, he's probably got a chip on his shoulder from the NHL draft, and he's going to want to prove to a bunch of NHL teams and say, hey, you know what? You had an opportunity to draft me last year, and you made a mistake by not drafting me. And Horevic off to a good start to his campaign this season, stopping 40 of 42 here tonight. And the two that beat him, really, you're not mad at those per se. You're not really blaming them all on Horevic. I think he'd be a bit frustrated by the Stankoven shot, but overall, that was a really nice shot from Matej Stankoven to beat Ben Horevic.
So this is our final test broadcast here on From the Booth with Mike, as we're going to be going on the road with the Barrie Colts once the regular season gets underway. That first official broadcast will be September 28th when the Colts are in Owen Sound. So make sure you hit subscribe to be notified when the broadcast goes live. Gene Pereira will also be joining us on the road, and it's going to be a fun season. This Colts team has a lot of potential, and we'll see where it all goes from here. Now, for the Barrie Colts, they're going to be on the road Saturday. They're visiting the Sarnia Sting in Midland. So that's going to be in Midland. Puck drop there is at 7 o'clock. Then they're in Port Elgin to face the Owen Sound Attack on Sunday. So two neutral site games per se, but we won't see the Barrie Colts back on home ice until September 14th. That game will be on Rogers TV. And that to note, it's a Sunday at 2 p.m. When was the last time we did 2 p.m. game on a Sunday?
I don't think I've ever worked one of those. We were very concerned last year when they started that playoff game at 6 p.m. Like, are we going to be awake for a 2 p.m.?
Can we handle this?
I don't know.
So just to your programming note for the Rogers TV broadcast, will return September 14th. So that's it from the Saddleland Arena. Thank you very much for tuning in. For Josh McCann, I'm Mike Poirier saying so long. And again, don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified when we do our next broadcast.